All right, we are live on YouTube and X here. Me and Tupa. How are you doing, Tupa?
Blown away by what we're finding out here.
Blown away, but also not surprised, right?
No.
There's a lot of overlap into UFO land, and we're not even done yet. We said this on the other one. I feel like they're getting more and more esoteric, and we're not even done yet. So, just looking at the thumbnail here, we got, 11 Stranger Things, some stress inoculation, telepathy tapes. Did you see that? I posted about that they're kind of tangentially in here.
Oh, yeah.
The Zodiac program? What the hell? This, I don't even know if you know about that. Avi Loeb, we got his little foray in there and his weird cover-up. We got spoonbending and Dean Radin in the fucking files. Got Alex Klokus, Skywatcher, dude.
Yep.
And if you guys notice, same little eye patches. Isn't that interesting? Before we go, let's shout out the chat. I was a little late, sorry guys, but who's here? Montezuma's here. Yo, excited. Telekinetic 6472. Cool seeing Red back on live YouTube. A lighthouse amongst the storm. Thank you. Yvonne Pandora. I've been looking for your channel here on YouTube. I subbed. Yeah, this is my third channel. So we got three. We got the archive one. This one, which I'm going to do all my streams on. And another one with my documentaries. Onimar says, done. Astral says, Epstein just lingers like a bad hangover. Etherman says, this is a usual time for these lives. No, but I was just like, you know what? It took me all day to make this little thing. And I was like, let's just get it out of the way. We get our clips going. RPK is hard to pin down. I'm not certain where he'll show up and could be anywhere. Yep. Sorry, guys. These take forever to make, believe it or not. I know people are like, oh, make your documentaries. It's like, well, those take forever too. Jake Rass says, hell yeah, glad to hear Jake. Who else is here? Tracy Scott. We love Tracy Scott. Sending love to all. And don't forget to share on all platforms to help spread Red's work. Thank you. Done forever. Let's go. Joe Kick ours. Hope Red Panda didn't get abducted. Our boy is late. Yeah, sorry, guys. Limus Morpho. Sup, Chief? T. James, yo, RPK and Tupa. All right, we're all here. We're having fun. We're streaming on X and there. Okay. I thought first we'll just start off. I did a little supercut edit. I think it's going to make it my go-to whenever somebody has like a big old interview. The edit with Oppenheimer music of just kind of some of the highlights from his whatchamacallit.
Yeah, why not?
What are you, class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1. Actually, one of the bad things to teach children is how to write.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
Really experienced and successful traders, and you ask them how they know what's going on, they can't give you an answer.
Tech bros, the finance bros love that one, dude.
They don't know. If you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton. I don't trade every day. Alchemist was, in fact, they believed that there was a way to transmute one metal into another. Like Woody Allen said, you can't beat the bank.
Money, dirty money.
No, science doesn't describe what creepy feelings means. They just know it's a creepy feeling. The things that are alive in my world are miracles, not magic. Magic has a bad connotation. To see it alive, I don't know.
Notice he said magic has a bad connotation, not magic's fake. Right, Tupa? I feel like you were picking up on all those little subtleties. In my world, life is miracles, not magic, because magic has a bad connotation. Not magic is fake.
Yeah.
Saying there's a lot of those little nuggets in there.
Is the banana that's sitting on the countertop in your kitchen today, is it alive or dead? There's this argument that I reject that black people are less intelligent than white people. It's not true. If I was in the forest and I had to run from the lion or figure out a way not to be eaten, and my competition is a local African, I'm the one who's getting eaten, because they have the intelligence to deal with their local environment.
I like how he's like trying to be like, no, but he can't even like help it. Like it still kind of comes out. The Goyim talk.
Yes.
What is gravity? It's this.
Like no races are different, but if I was in the jungle, they would be.
Everybody says, well, why did the ball fall to the ground? Because gravity took it. But what's gravity? Wonderful time I had in jail, and my work release, which didn't come till months after. I'd been there since June. In an 8x10 cell, the Socrates, Plato's, and Aristotle, because they never wrote anything. They spoke, and people around who could write wrote.
All right, let's get into it. Kind of got a big one, so we're going to power through it, and it's already late. Thank you for being here again, Tupa.
Oh, yeah.
Alex Klokus, big financier of Skywatcher and the Telepathy Tapes. I don't know if you know that. I'll play a little bit of this clip. This isn't long, but he also does this SALT conference, right, where there's been a few drops over the years. And again, not everyone is like necessarily in these is like an evil piece of shit, right? But I think Vetted had something to say about it. What did Vetted say? Let me pull this up real quick. We'll let this play while I look up for what Vetted said.
Do you believe?
So here's Alex Klokus on the left. Let me just set it up a little bit better. He made the publication Futurism. I believe he's a billionaire. He funds a lot of UFO stuff, including Skywatcher, Telepathy Tapes. And I think he's helps run this conference, the SALT conference, which does good PR, right? Like, this is good PR. Would you say, like, when these kinds of events happen, because this is all about like getting investors into ufology, which for better or worse, it kind of shows you like the shit's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time and it's still here. And it has basically, people talk about the wow signal, looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. The wow signal is that people see it on an almost regular basis. That's the communication that's already here.
And that statement seems so incredible that it's tough to believe, right? Like, people hear that, and maybe a lot of people hear that, and they don't believe it. And so I'm curious, if you had to assign a probability to that statement, that you believe extraterrestrial intelligence has visited this planet, what probability would you assign?
100%. And that's not just my opinion. I mean, look, the National Defense Appropriation Act passed last year.
Us UFO nerds love that shit. I remember when this dropped. This was in Skyfire News days, right? When this dropped, like, people love this kind of shit.
Yeah, a little bit before, but it was like, it's he does say some really interesting things here that really outline what his belief is, and he kind of represents a pretty big think tank in the Invisible College, which is like, you know what I mean? It's all these little UFO guys. So when they talk this deeply and they feel this safe to like kind of go in on their theories about what an alien is and 100% likelihood they've been here, that kind of stuff, you find out a lot, and he lays it out.
Yeah, I don't really have an easy to find timestamp. But do you have a rough guess of where? Or do you want to say some of the things he lays out in here, maybe for the people? This one he alludes to David Grush, I believe, in this one too. This is before Grush, actually. So this is a 2023 thing.
He does mention some stuff that I was able to slice back and forth between what he's saying and what David Grush is saying, because he says a lot of stuff that David Grush went on to kind of be like, I could talk about that in a skiff at the congressional hearing. But if not that Gary Nolan is speaking for Grush at all, but the same kinds of questions were asked of him, and he gave pretty decent answers. In this interview, he talks about the concept of alien contact happening through consciousness and avatars, the grays being those avatars for a far away or a higher intelligence, and that those things are just here because that's how you interact in the physical world with a body. But they're not. There's like no one really behind the wheel on that stuff. He compares it to how we would talk to an ant. He goes into alien like contact. I don't know if he talks about the basal ganglia too much in here, but he lays it out pretty much basically like all of the scientific buddies of his believe 100% that there's the avatars are here. Like the grays are the avatars.
Nice. So first email of his, we got, so I guess before I read it, let me just read what Vetted said about this. Friend of the show, Vetted. We love Patrick. And this is after Epstein was convicted of procuring a child for prostitution. Read that again. Bile. I'm all for second chances, but fuck me, that's fucked. So again, there's this kind of like, there's some people like, we're going to cover Jack Sarfatti later. Like his shit just gets forwarded to Epstein. But then there's other people here who are like, so for example, connecting Bryan Johnson, Masha Dakova. So he's connecting Alex Klokus, and I guess we'll kind of go what we're talking about, and we'll go here.
And it's still here.
Oh shit.
And it has.
Sorry, guys.
I'm curious.
Just wait till there's a nice still of him on the screen.
That extra.
All right, there we go. So, thank you, Masha. I'm in town until Wednesday afternoon. I have a really tight schedule, but would like to meet up with Jeffrey if possible. What does that schedule look like? So he's connecting Bryan Johnson with Jeffrey Epstein. Down here is kind of the most thing. Bryan is building Kernel, and today I spoke with Masha about potential value of him and Jeffrey chatting. Alex Klokus, CEO of Futurism. And again, Bryan Johnson is this guy who's super into like the living forever stuff. Here's what he had to say when everyone was like, bro, what are you doing? He says, 8 years ago, I met with Epstein via Zoom. A mutual contact put us in touch. That's Alex Klokus, the Skywatcher guy. Isn't this so funny how these worlds overlap, but not surprising? 8 years ago, I met with Epstein via Zoom. A mutual contact put us in touch as I was building my brain interface company, Kernel, and he had supposedly done some neuroscience stuff at MIT. After a 10-minute video call, I immediately called the person who put us in contact and told him that Epstein seemed like a very dark person. I felt sick to my stomach. I also told him that I never wanted to speak to him again. I remember this so clearly because I knew nothing about him, but weirdly intuitively, something was deeply wrong. Being in his proximity felt dangerous. Despite having nothing to go off of, I never interacted with him again and came to find out years later he had a fucked up past. What do you think about this, Tupa? 2018, you think Bryan Johnson just didn't know about who Epstein was? I feel like everybody knew who he was by that point.
Yeah, everyone knew. Really easy to find out. It's not like you can, you Google them is all it takes. People Google each other all the time.
Yeah, so isn't it interesting? Alex Klokus is the one who connected Bryan Johnson, not that Bryan, and Epstein. I wonder how many other people he's connected with them. Would you say? Is it safe to say he served as a funnel for Epstein in this dynamic?
Maybe it could have access point for sure.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Here's more of him. Jeffrey Epstein, from his blacked out subject Jude Hess, September 2017. Point being here is interview with Futurism editor Alex Klokus. So this is his agenda. He had an interview 1:30 p.m. on September 17th, 2017. Interesting, right? A lot of that stuff. And again, now we're getting some more interesting. We're going to cover some of the Skywatcher stuff, where this guy is like the lead investor for Skywatcher. And let me see. Let me put this up a little bit so we have some background music. Okay. So what is Skywatcher, right?
We took all of these into.
Oh, actually, so here's him, right? Here's him on a Skywatcher thing. Here's a meme I made. We're going to interject some memes as we go along. This was funny this is about a year ago now, right? All this
individuals that were making these claims, and we said, prove it. Here we are, and I'm not really sure what to expect, to be honest. I think when you talk to the teams, they have unwavering conviction that something is going to happen, that we're actually going to see things in the sky. Not only do they think that we're going to see things in the sky, but we're going to be able to track it. We're going to be able to actually gather a variety of different data related to this thing.
So that was a meme. That was from Napoleon Dynamite. I thought that was very funny when I made that last year. But let's actually watch a little bit about what Skywatcher was. Again, Alex Klokus was the big funder of all that. Throwback to about a year ago.
Jake Barber says that when he retrieved a so-called 8-gon-shaped UAP, he had an intense emotional reaction, which convinced him he'd connected telepathically with a non-human intelligence.
You're talking UFOs, flying saucers, and
that's probably one of the hardest conversations. That object, or whatever was controlling that object, was also connecting to me through my mind.
And so how did the object come to land?
I think it was invited to land by the psionics team.
Jake says his mission that night came from no accidental crash. The UAP was summoned by a separate team, a special team with special abilities. They're called psionics.
What is a psionic?
A psionic person is someone with the predisposition for extratemporal, you could say, abilities and sensitivities.
Extratemporal abilities, also known as psychic powers.
What did you discover the psionics were being used for in the program?
In the program, there was certainly a desire to explore the idea that perhaps UAP could be summoned, could be communicated with, could be controlled, and could be persuaded to land, all by deploying people with psionic abilities.
And did you see that happen?
Yes, I did.
When a psionic operator engages with technology, how do they do it?
Using their mind, something like meditation.
There genuinely are people who can actually make a mental, spiritual connection to a technology.
Yes. 100%.
It all seems so far-fetched. Psychically gifted humans linking with possibly alien ships, summoning them, and even piloting them. But it isn't just Jake saying this. Don Paul, another decorated special forces operator and colleague.
It isn't just Jake saying this. It's also his friends.
Who looks just like him.
Yeah, like, okay, cool.
What psionics can do.
I've had the pleasure of meeting multiple psionic assets. I've seen them function. I know that they're capable of doing what they're doing.
You can definitively say that you believe there is a capacity in the human mind to somehow psychically, telepathically connect.
Yes, and I don't know if it's a byproduct, if it's something that they were born with, but there is certain people who are quantifiably, verifiably capable of this.
It's an established fact that the Pentagon has had an interest in psychic abilities, what it calls remote viewing, for military purposes. The famed Project Stargate spent years studying the subject, and despite the CIA's official position that such studies yielded nothing, former Pentagon UAP investigator Lou Elizondo told me last year that psychic abilities are very real. And
friend of the show, right?
Not very
big
rare.
friend, big fan.
Currently coming up. Currently, I would say maybe aiding and abetting a murder plot against us. At the very least, covering for it, not helping us out. Find out who is. It's sidebar.
This
Yeah,
is
we'll
an
find out
ontological
how
shock,
much he's
I think,
helping.
for many people watching this, because we're all being told, firstly, there's no such thing as aliens visiting this planet. And secondly, there's no such thing as telepathy.
Okay, one more real quick on here, this little front about what they were doing with Skywatcher, right? So that was kind of the backstory of like where they were coming from. I also want to say this too. Not everybody. Okay. Here's a question for you, Tupa. Do you think that like I'll always go here because he was my favorite guy of all of them. Fred Baker, right? Do you think Fred Baker was aware that Alex Klokus was like meeting with Epstein and shit all the time? Not all the time, but you know what I mean?
No,
I don't think so either. And I want to kind of throw like. I'm not trying to like bury everyone who was affiliated with Skywatcher by any means. Yeah. So just throwing that out there, but let's see what they were doing. So here's actually Skywatcher.
In August of
and again, this is what Alex Klokus was the major funder of.
2024, Jake and the Skywatcher team conducted their own operation with a psionic asset to see if they could summon a UAP themselves.
Look, there's two. Look at this. Look at this. Look right here. Look at this one going down and this one going up.
This footage from another Skywatcher operation showing the team's protocols. The team hoped to quietly gather evidence for Skywatcher, but instead found themselves in danger once more. And Jake says a UAP dogfight erupted in the sky above.
There's Michael Batista, right? Who we saw in the last episode was doing this channeling.
Them.
Jordan Jorzak, he actually seems like a nice guy. I'm not saying Michael Batista doesn't either, but
He believes the craft summoned by the team was warring with a rogue UAP piloted by an unknown entity attempting to intercept Skywatcher's operation.
Tell me what happened.
So we set out to do this operation. Right away when the psionic asset went into meditation, he is reporting that he is engaged and in fact piloting a craft and is bringing it in.
So he's actually telepathically controlling alien technology.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
As crazy as that sounds, that's exactly what we set out to do, what he reported.
How would they know it was alien?
Then
Like,
things got a little weird.
you want to riff a little bit? Want to roast a bit?
it's so much. There's just so much going on here. Ross is acting very deceptively. The way that they're framing this, he's pretending like to be finding out about this firsthand, for the first time. You're telling me he's telepathically connecting to an alien ship? Like, that's all pre-written stuff. They already been over this. They've already been to Esalen together. They've already talked about this. They've already been on Molly together. You know what I mean? They've already done this. So for one, it's a performance. That's weird. It's performative. But then they're asserting things in the mix that they cannot assert. It's okay for them to come up with the term psionic asset. It's okay to say that the guy believes he's piloting. They're saying he is piloting this thing now, and it's an alien spacecraft. Yes, it's an alien spacecraft. Prove that. You know what I mean? Those are different. I can't go with them that far on this. It's too many assertions. They've gotten too far down the road without any kind of proof. As far as we
they
know,
promised they were going to summon an egg by the end of last year.
Fuck it, or fudge yeah, dude. They're sitting there like a guy with a blindfold, and then there could be some drones in the sky. We don't know what those are, and then they're like, "Oh, it's working." Like, dude, that's all we know. Your guy has a blindfold on. 100%. That's all we know.
Or was my thought in the chat? Hearing outsiders speak on this is funny. Apparently, he wants to go whistleblower on some stuff he experienced while being part of Skywatcher. Because while this was all happening, there was this kind of like feeder program to the community, which isn't necessarily bad. Heidi Rachel Brown says, I was told Russ Coulter once said something about an orb floating over people nude at the hot springs at Esalen. So I searched Esalen in the files and found a crazy email. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I think I'll play something about that next. Let's continue along here.
Right about I'd say 4 or 5 minutes into the operation, he goes, something's going on, something's wrong, get me out of here. And right about that time, our Overwatch Fred looked up,
get me out of here, bro.
to the sky and saw a disc, a classic lenticular shaped disc.
That was Fred Baker, Special Operations veteran, now part of the Skywatcher team.
He seems chill. See, this is why I feel like they're laundering like chillness of like people like him. Like, again, I would, if I had a bet, if Fred Baker was aware that Klokus was emailing Epstein, I would say no. But that's just me. Yeah.
I don't know. Now that I'm seeing the way that they've edited this, you know what I mean? The way that they've edited this, it's painting a different kind of picture.
Especially with time, right? With hindsight of knowing like this kind of went nowhere.
Well, yeah. It's kind of like these people are in their own bubble, right? They're out there in the desert. They're convinced that this is happening. No one's going to tell them that it isn't happening. When they go on camera, they're so in their own bubble that they don't really know how to explain this to the normie. And instead, it comes across sounding very cult-like and very detached from reality because they're so sure of themselves. Then you have the reporter who's supposed to be like asking very cool questions, making sure it's coming across clean.
And it's more like an infomercial.
Yes, and exactly. Instead, it's coming across exactly like an infomercial. And then we got this guy here. These guys are claiming again to be psychically connecting to UFOs. And then he just said Baker looked and saw a classic saucer-shaped disc in the thing, and they zoom in on one white pixel.
Which some people I think were even saying that like they put out footage that was like later proven to be birds and stuff.
Yeah, dude,
or low Earth orbit satellites too. You know.
Yeah, it's almost like they're all like on whether or not they know it. There's a little bit of like role playing happening, and they're feeding into their UFO fears and stuff. It's very strange.
Or with actually no, we got to keep it kind of high and tight here because we got a lot of stuff to go through. But we'll do a space or something with that because I know you got a lot of stuff you want to say. Let's real quick to what was mentioned earlier in the chat by Heidi Rachel Brown. Here's the some of the stuff we covered last time about Esalen, but it's all we'll just touch on it a little real quick here.
Gathering at Esalen.
Okay.
And a lot of very high net worth individuals who were interested in suppression of non-human intelligence attended. What happened?
I think something epic happened. I think something happened that if it was fully documented and understood would go in the history books.
I had a feeling last week that was historical.
It felt absolutely historic. What you had was a combination of the world's leading, like most frontier scientists. You had people that were top experts in all their fields. And then you had a variety of fields that was outrageous. We had neurosurgeons, doctors in neurosurgery. We had physicists. We had high net worth individuals in the billions that were extremely open-minded. And
again, he's talking about Klokus. And if I had a bet in the Mandela Effect universe where maybe Epstein wasn't doing the sex trafficking or wasn't caught, I would bet $1 million Mandela dollars that he would have been there.
A frontier attitude towards all this. We had mystics. We had psychic kids. We had children from Germany.
Don't like this.
Could harness and actually showcase their ability to perform telekinesis, their ability to psychically see things with their mind, and were able to prove that to all of us. We also deployed some of our psionic assets that we've used and are part of our new team with Skywatcher, and we summoned UAP. we had the UAP come and fly around and visit, hang out with us, and take off.
And I have to say, I saw it too.
Yeah.
And it was profound.
Energy here is like a little, like again, like you said, like
it's really bad. It's reverent. It's like
yes,
it's
there's
so,
a reverent. It's like church or something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It feels like I'm at church, not watching the news, right? Which I feel like News Nation is like trying to be CNN.
Dude,
although CNN kind of does that shit too with like certain topics.
This is reminding me of the Prayer Network, bro. Like this is reminding. This is getting. It gets so weird. Something profound.
Let's get back to the little thing here. So then what Skywatcher introduced, which I think is interesting, and Epstein stuff. We even said this last year when this was all breaking, of like, ooh, it's getting a little weird. Here's one of them.
You're either born with a gift or...
So here's how Jake Barber describes people can increase their psionic abilities. And we'll just watch it, and then I know Tuba's got stuff.
You go through, you spend 30 years as a shaman.
By the way, this is on Jesse Michael's show, who again, you know, Thiel associate. Yeah, I've been on Jesse Michael's show, though. Logan Paul is here of all people as well.
Oh, yeah.
And you figure out how to do it the hard way. There are either easier ways, there are cheats, and some of the cheats that have been experimented with are things that have not fared well for those involved in the program, including children. And
let's pause that real quick. He said there are cheats to increase your psionic ability, but some of those things have not fared well for people involved in the program, including children. One more time, because this is just insane to me.
The cheats that have been experimented with are things that have not fared well for those involved in the program, including children, and I'll talk about.
So I mean, they're doing things to kids that have negative effects on them, short term or long term. Now let's get into now more.
So how do we heighten intuition? Well, you do it through stress inoculation. You do it through triggering flight or fight or flight biology systems in our body. So the most powerful things you can do is trigger that on. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't reinvent the wheel. The human mind and body is already something so spectacular we don't understand it. I don't know why it works, but if you can trigger flight or fight, all these things get activated, and intuition does. So
oh my god, dude,
you gotta hijack
everything he's saying right now. Imagine he's like walking people through a facility where they're just torturing kids, and he's like, hey man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. We're just harnessing their psychic power. Like, it's such a weird phrasing and kind of slogans that he's saying to himself. Like,
yeah, when this first came out, it felt like a whitewashing of low-key or like ritual abuse.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah, stress inoculation, bro, is not even a thing. He's talking about torturing a kid until they disassociate, and this was talked about in all these satanic videos
for decades.
For decades, it's well known that what they were doing was trying to get children to disassociate. They make them do the craziest shit, and that would open their psychic ability and make them into a not a portal, but kind of a conduit for the spirit world, that they can maintain a connection with it for a longer duration. It's so weird, dude.
And boom, you put someone there. You need to do that to heighten intuition while subduing intellect. How do you do that? You subdue the intellect by disassociation. So there are chemical ways to induce disassociation. There are more proactive ways that you could do yourself, like through meditation. But all in all, those are the two things you do to get into that state. Well, kids are naturally way more visceral in both of those things. They're naturally more intuitive. Their intellect is lower. There is one more thing that you have to do to even enter that, and that deals with the other eye, instinct. So your instincts have to be satisfied at this time. So that just means you have to be comfortable. Can't be hungry, can't be horny, can't be tired, can't be worried about your survival. You can't be cold, you can't be hot. So all that has to be taken care of.
I had a former Scientologist tell me what he describes there as like identical to how they would describe being clear when they were in the Church of Scientology. I'm just throwing that out there too. I'm not trying to throw shit at anyone. I'm just dropping knowledge I know. I'm not saying he's a Scientologist.
Well, yeah, I mean, he'd be the arbiter of like if they're in the right state of mind. So there is this kind of torture and kind of manipulation where you get somebody into a situation where they're waiting for your approval, and you just never give them approval, and you keep on having them like, no, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. You know what I mean? Like, you're too stressed out. What's bothering you? And then maybe what would help? Just tell me some of your secrets. Unload this stuff, right? Just talk about it. And then now they're like, they're going clear. It's like,
Yeah.
It's you could literally take this video clip and put it side by side with the satanic, like,
Oh, we should, huh? Like when Kathy O'Brien or some shit.
yeah, dude. When they talk, because they talk about disassociation, they talk
Yeah.
about stress inoculation. Oh my god, this is so bad.
Yes. All right, let's.
It's been suggested to me that
So here's another element that was introduced. That was really weird and kind of felt shoehorned into the UFO disclosure stuff. You know, I've been part of this like movement and stuff kind of since 2017, and this was very much like, whoa, wait, what just happened? What are we being told now?
left-handed gay men are particularly good at it.
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the case, that there is a larger distribution of the predisposition amongst children and
I wish they
gay
cut to
men.
Baker right there
For
no
whatever reason, the demographic when
Let's turn that back a little bit though. Listen to this, guys.
amongst
Are particularly good at it.
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the case, that there is a larger distribution of the predisposition amongst children and gay men. For whatever reason, the demographic, when compared to normal society within the program, that gay men and kids and females are more often seen
I
as
don't
having
like
the
this.
predisposition for.
He
Yeah, we
doesn't
never
like
really
it
talked
either.
about-
Look at him. Look at him. He does not like saying this. Something's going on, dude.
And let's not forget that in the last thing we just watched, he said that some of these like stress inoculation protocols didn't fare well for the kids. So, what did you think, Chico? When this time last year, let's go back. We've been in the disclosure movement, riding with the bullshit, and then all of a sudden, left-handed gay kids are the most psychic of all.
I remember, like, specifically, we were not having it. We started making fun of it immediately. That's the only thing you can do. It was uncomfortable, and it had to be mocked so that people felt, so it never like caught on as like a real thing, because it was obvious what he was doing. He was trying to inoculate us, right, to slowly boil the frogs in the pot to this idea that, hey man, it's just part of like UFO, dude. We got a bunch of kids and a bunch of gay dudes out in the desert doing Molly, dude, and the, you know what I mean? The kids got to be stressed out for long periods of time. Okay, like
Yeah.
none of this is good.
Here's another meme I made last year of this shit.
Hey, Craig, you guys look pretty gay. Thanks. Not as gay as us, though. Craig, we're 10 times gayer than you. Oh, yeah? We're super duper triple dog gay. Oh, yeah? Come on, fags. Told you guys were
See the
straight.
backgrounds?
We're not straight. You're straight. You're straight. You're straight like a female. You wish you were gay, Craig. In your dreams, I'm not just gay. I'm a catamite. We look great. Yeah, let's
The little you like that?
see Craig out gay
Well, UFO shame, by the way.
now.
They tend to look for left-handed people buying gay males.
Left-handed gay men are particularly good at it.
There is a larger distribution of the predisposition amongst children and gay men.
As well as the left-handed gays that we talked about.
Hey, Craig.
So
Dude,
yeah,
I found a post from last year, almost exactly February 6th, so literally almost to the date, and it's Arthur highlighting a post, and I just retweeted it in my
Okay, let me go
feed.
see.
But Arthur says, why is I basically say, because Epstein was doing psionic research last year, almost to the date.
Look at Prophet Tupa. Why is Science Bob so triggered about the idea of releasing the pedo Epstein files? Because Epstein was doing psionic research. Science Bob, friend of the show.
Isn't that crazy though? Called that
Another
almost
Tupa,
a year.
already tweeted live in the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Logically, it was the only thing that made sense. You know, let's
I
be
mean, I
real.
think we all knew the pieces were all there, dude. Like
Yep.
they were always all there. It kind of just feels like a weight's off for some whatever reason. Now we could talk about it more openly, which is just crazy that that was even a thing. But, like there was this whole like weirdo pedo elite shit that like we literally probably couldn't have talked. We probably couldn't have had this stream like a few years ago on YouTube, right? It still might get kicked off, but at least on X, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What else? Okay, here's another dynamic entered by the Skywatcher Klokus Epstein thing.
John Ryan was there.
The whole kind of like introduction of human trafficking and then kind of whitewashing of it into UFO disclosure.
At the time with us in DC when this happened, and we talked about this. Shortly after that is when Herrera went on his show, and the thing took a kind of a dark turn because the term human trafficking was slapped on this thing, and when you hear that, you think of slavery and sex trafficking and all these things. And it's my understanding that's not at all what goes on in these operations. It's no different than someone setting up any other type of business, and the people come willingly. The people that work in these programs, it's a great job. It's fun. Some of them have known their whole life that they have this intuition or this special talent, and they're socially awkward or have other pathology, social pathologies.
Wait a second.
That they're dealing.
I was trying to figure out how he bridged the things, but is he saying that his operation was the word human trafficking was thrown around about his operation, about Skywatcher? Because they're taking kids from other countries that are psychic.
Well, because it was Herrera. Remember Herrera, Michael Herrera, friend of the show. He part of his whole lore story is that he was in Indonesia, and I think is it in here? Let me see it. Let me just see what that's about.
No,
they explain it. Here, let's read a little letter. Right?
Okay,
they're socially awkward or have other pathology, social pathologies that they're dealing with too. That somehow seems like it plays into this. So it's like not all the people that are talented in this way are normal in every other way. It's like God created some balance. So when they can come in and get involved in this program and have food and shelter and be treated with respect and make money. Like if you went down there on your high horse representing the United States and morality and went in and tried to liberate these people, they'd be like, get out of here. We don't want to be liberated. This is our job.
Can I play devil's advocate for 1 second? I think in the Michael Herrera testimony, he thought that whatever organization this paramilitary group was from was taking advantage of the fact that Indonesia was this disaster zone.
Right.
And some of these people could go missing easily.
Yes.
And so that to me sounds
that's
a little
one
more
theory. Or the hurricane, the natural disaster was actually threatening a workspace for this operation and they needed to get the hell out of Dodge.
Got it.
I have no firsthand experience with that operation, nor direct.
Why do you say it like that?
Contact with anyone.
Was it Jesse that said yep to off camera? Go back like 10-20 seconds. It's a very weird exchange.
Got it.
I have no firsthand experience with that
weird,
operation, nor direct contact.
Might have been Jake Paul
with anyone involved with it. I know of that type of operation. I know of that craft. I know of those containers.
Yeah, he was walking around while he was speaking slow.
Yeah,
like, I have no. He was letting Jesse know that he has to dance around this. He has to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it reminded me of. Let's see. Is it gonna be? Do I have it up here quickly? No, I don't think I do. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Oh shit! Oh my god, I screwed the pooch on that one. Sorry, guys.
You're either born with it. It's been Sean Ryan was there
at Herrera testimony. He thought that whatever organization this paramilitary group was from was taking advantage of the fact that Indonesia was this disaster zone.
Right.
And some of these people could go missing easily.
Yes.
And so that to me sounds
that's
a little
one
more
theory. Or the hurricane, the natural disaster was actually threatening a workspace for this operation and they needed to get the hell out of Dodge.
Got it.
I have no firsthand experience with that operation, nor direct contact with anyone involved with it. I know of.
So it reminds me of this. I found it. Here we go. Remember this one?
Have you been there?
I have not quite been there.
Not
Almost
quite.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Of that type of operation, I know of that craft. I know of those containers, and I know of operations that sounded like. And so the whole point of all this, and let me put a big giant red bow on it for you, is that this was one I saw a good Marine up there when I saw Mike. I saw a brother in arms doing his best to be put now with a microphone in his face in a fucking suit and tie in Washington, D.C., when he's cut out to be carrying a saw through the jungle. And now he's doing his best, and he's an honest, good guy, and I was going to let him hang.
All right, so yeah, that's the Klokus stuff. We're going to kind of touch on it a little bit more in a bit, but Some of this is kind of retread, so I'll just kind of go through this fast. Again, this is the Gino Yu stuff, and actually, I didn't even see is there a video I could find of him? Because Gino Yu had a bunch of the weirder stuff. Let me see. Does he come up? Okay. Oh, he does come up. Okay, so this is Gino Yu.
I've been obsessed with trying to understand consciousness. I studied neuroscience. I really focus on analytic philosophy. You've told me that I have no chance to really understand consciousness because I am constrained with a Western understanding. How so?
See, like this is the vibe I always got from Epstein, that he would be like at Esalen, like this, like hanging out with guys like this, right? Right? I think so.
Because I am constrained with a Western understanding. How so?
Well, you're trying to understand it from the realm of the mind. And from when I mention the Western understanding, it's really the Western framing of the world. In the Western framing of the world, this is me and this is not me. And I'm trying to understand me by looking at the things that are not me. So if you're looking at trying to understand how things happen in science and how can what we observe in science create the experience of the awareness of that which we're aware of, which is the hard problem of consciousness, right? What that relationship is.
The quality, the feeling, the inner experience.
So I just wanted people to know, like, who's this Gino Yu guy? Apparently he's a professor at like some Hong Kong university, all into this like esoteric shit. Watch us be the wrong guy. I doubt it isn't though. Yvonne has a great point. 114 watching, only 40 likes. Hit that like button, guys. Yes, hit the like button. We're growing my third channel. Make sure you subscribe to my other two. And you follow me on X. But so Gino had some interesting stuff. We'll go back to it. Gino Yu to Jeffrey Epstein, 2017. Hi, Jeffrey. Just got this approved here at PolyU. We read this the other day, but I'll just read it again. We just got this approved here at PolyU. Let me know if you know anyone in Asia that might be interested. I've attached a write-up from one of the guys that came to Tulum. It's about his ayahuasca experience. I'm planning an event in Europe in April, May, and another one in Asia in July. Sidebar, Christopher Mellon's brother died at one of those ayahuasca retreats. Might have even been in Tulum. We should double check that, huh?
Yeah.
I know it was in Mexico. Rest in peace, by the way. Matthew Mellon. About 2018, 2017. I intend to run these annually around the world to help build a community and a network of people with special abilities for research in Saiwu. We will do a trans-tech conference after the TSC in Shanghai. Wendy, my partner there, knows the former head of the parapsychology in China back when the US, Russia, and China were funding the area, building a pool of subjects. David Savage came with me to Davos in Zurich. We met an interesting person who was able to detect when David was reading others. We did a simple off-the-cuff experiment where she closed her eyes and David went to read her. She was able to detect when that happened, which was very interesting. So, yeah, pretty interesting there. Let me see. I wanted to add something else here too. Give me one moment here. Tuba, any thoughts on this one real quick? I know we kind of did it the other day, but I need to add something. I need time.
I'm just curious about where Chris Mellon's brother died. If it wasn't Tulum, that'd be nuts. It'd be wild.
Yeah,
I hope it's the same Gino Yu, but I think it is for sure.
Right, the vibes are totally like very similar. Yeah, let me see. All right, we'll just go to the next one for now. Fuck it. So this one was a little sus, right? And this kind of goes back to our the things that we just did with Barber. So let me just go ahead and read this. This is from the same Gino Yu, I believe. Yeah, Gino Yu to Jeffrey Epstein in 2018. And it says, I'm in Paris, was about to write you, and it popped up. She is a classic stage 3 in the model. Outlier who is intelligent, was traumatized when she was young, sexual abuse, and now gradually coming into her own and becoming self-realized. Can share our text interactions with her permission, starting to develop special abilities. This trip we found a lot of stories like this, but she is more on the extreme side given her biographical history. We've been working with many such people with the model with good success. Incidentally, she is based in New York City. Can set up a meeting if you have interest. In London, I met with a group that leverages Iboga and spiritual traditions from Gabon to offer this. A lot going on there. Outlier who's intelligent was traumatized when she was young, sexual abuse, and now gradually coming into her own and becoming self-realized, starting to develop special abilities. So this is kind of like, you know, it's kind of just like the stress inoculation stuff, right? That we
You're either born with a gift or you spend 30 years as a Shaolin monk and you figure out how to do it the hard way. There are either easier ways, there are cheats, and some of the cheats that have been experimented with are things that have not fared well for those involved in the program, including children, and I'll talk about them. So how do we heighten intuition? Well, you do it through stress inoculation. You do it through triggering flight or fight or flight biology systems in our body. Some of the most powerful things you can.
Don't those rhyme, Tupa? This email and kind of this whole idea of stress, is it the same thing? It's this satanic ritual abuse to, like what you're saying, disassociate, and people swear it makes you get powers. If you go through trauma, you're going to become more psychic.
Yeah.
You're going to see more UFOs.
Yeah. It's a story as old as time.
And yeah, Jeffrey was all up in the mix there. Let's go through some more of these emails. We did this one the other day too, but might as well be worth covering just a little bit. Let me make this a little bit smaller here. There we go. Epstein remote viewing of Project Stargate. Deepak Chopra, the little horn dog himself, was always forwarding Epstein stuff, and Epstein here wanted a full-length copy of the documentary Third Eye Spies, which is about the remote viewing psychic program and stuff like that. He didn't say, "Oh, that's all bullshit." You know what I mean? It just goes to show that these people are very much into this kind of stuff at these levels. They're going to Esalen. Here's another one. Here's what I believe was being mentioned in the chat. Yeah, by Heidi. Says, this is how Michelle Riley go. We covered it really long in the other stream, so I'm just going to read it real fast for you guys. Thank you, Jeff. You asked for fun projects. I think we're mostly starving for great conspiracies today. 10 to 12 person coordinated secrets. What about a new Rosicrucianism of sorts? A Jejun Institute style blurred reality friction negging of your enemies should be pretty fun. Damn fun. What are your thoughts on funding and constructing your own intelligence agency? I'd also like to do an exclusive science salon, sort of a thing at a place like Esalen or maybe at Little St. James. And again, doesn't that just sound like what they did at
would go in the history books?
I had a feeling last week that was historical.
It felt absolutely historic. What you had was a combination of the world's leading, like most frontier scientists. You had people that were top experts in all their fields. And then you had a variety of fields that was outrageous. We had neurosurgeons, doctors in neurosurgery. We had physicists. We had high net worth individuals in the billions that were extremely open-minded.
And again, he's describing the event they had at Esalen.
And had a frontier attitude towards all this. We had mystics. We had psychic kids. We had children from Germany that could harness and actually showcase their ability to perform telekinesis.
So again, all these things are rhyming. Here we have an associate of Epstein saying, hey, let's do a science salon at Esalen. Let's make a new Rosicrucianism. The previous email, they're talking about stress inoculation and SRA and people developing special abilities. This was another interesting one. Jeffrey Epstein wrote a 2018 email to theoretical physicist Lawrence Krauss asking him to debunk out-of-body experiences, alien abductions, and ghost stories. The email reads, from Jeffrey Epstein to Lawrence Krauss. Look at these dudes. You could tell they got up to some devious shit over the years. Lawrence, can you pen an article on how to debunk claims, alien abductions, for example? Many people share similar stories, ghost, out-of-body experiences. I like to include some of the criticisms that have been brought, i.e. 10 years of similar stories, etc. Just give it to me. It will not have your name attached to it. What do you think about that? That's kind of weird, right? Laundering, like, write this for me. Your name won't be attached to it. Don't worry. He's clearly into all this weird esoteric stuff, but let's publicly debunk it.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly obfuscating or whatever, like covering for it. I mean, and they do look like they got up to some crazy stuff.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. All right, let's continue along. Telepathy tapes. So the telepathy tapes come up indirectly. Diane Powell seeking funding for experiments on autistic children. Another forward from Deepak Chopra to Epstein. Here we have Jake Barber around last year when this was all going down saying, hello, Oliver, I appreciate your support. Diane Powell of the Telepathy Tapes is on our Skywatcher team. And people are saying that Klokus funds the Telepathy Tapes as well. And as we went over, Klokus was mentioned various times in the Epstein files. He connected Ryan Johnson and Epstein. He's had a few meetings with them, it appears, per the emails and the files. Let's watch this real quick, and then I'll read some of the email.
My son said to me, I can hear thoughts. And I said, impossible. And he said to me, you don't get the kind of gifts that I have if you lie.
Let's please multiply two numbers and see if
What?
he gets it.
Okay, what is it?
9, 0, 0.
Unbelievable.
1.
Maybe shuffle again, Dr. Powell. Oh.
Play. 2.
So he got the plus too.
I was wondering, because I was looking at the 2 the whole
Yeah.
time and I saw his hand going somewhere else.
What is this phenomena happening? Why are his mind and my mind completely connected?
I knew that a lot of people would think.
So this is the girl who's she's not emailing Epstein, but Deepak Chopra was forwarding her stuff like, "Hey, let's fund this girl's research."
Boy, Diane's gone off the deep end. But that's the risk any scientist takes when they challenge the current paradigm.
Joining us today to shed some light, Dr. Diane Powell.
I'm working with children who have been reported by a parent to be able to read their mind. The data was so compelling and accurate that I had to follow it, even though I knew I was risking my scientific reputation. I started testing them and I found that they were exceedingly accurate.
What is the next number?
3.
After the medical board took my license away, I had to prove my sanity. Once I did, I said, I'm going to prove that ESP is real.
Dr. Tarrant, he's done these QEEG scans to see what's going on.
The biggest overall finding is really this
Again, same blindfolds from the Skywatcher group. Just throwing that out there.
increase of activation across all the brain waves. If there was no change, I would definitely be skeptical.
If you can show a consistent pattern, particularly from kid to kid, that's how science changes. You cannot fake this.
We want answers like, where does it comes from? I want to know how and what are we supposed to do?
We can't all be crazy.
We are far more powerful than we can imagine, and the implications are huge for humanity. And
Yeah, so this shit went hella viral last year. Here's a recent video they put up, which kind of has a different vibe now that we know. And again, Dan Powell isn't emailing Epstein that we know of yet. I'm not saying yet like it's expected to happen, but definitely in the same loops. This is on the Telepathy Tapes YouTube channel. Kind of weird, right? I don't know. I guess they're trying to like all do the same thing psychically.
All right, Finley, now do something different with your body.
Oh no, I'm gonna break my back, but ouch.
Kind of weird. I don't know.
Good.
Um,
Nice. All right, Finley, now do something different with your body.
I think it was. Let me see.
All right, now.
Why is this on there?
Let me show you what how it was shown on the thing.
Good.
Okay, so on the official Telepathy Tapes YouTube channel, it says copying movements while blindfolded at the ICU Academy.
But the kid announces what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
And then you can hear they can hear each other how they're moving.
Yeah, and it says
He just
this
goes.
video-
He's like he says exactly what he's gonna do. Then after this, he goes, "I'm gonna do some push-ups." And they all that. Like,
Yeah. This video is a companion piece to season 2, episode 11 of the Telepathy Tapes. In this episode, we explore claims that perception may not be limited to the physical senses. The footage shown here features children participating in blindfolded perception activities conducted at Nicholas Farmer's Third Eye Academy in England, where participants attempt to identify colors, shapes, or objects while wearing opaque blindfolds.
Good.
So there you go. Let's read some of the things. Shout out to Jerry Coe. Is this gonna? Let's see. They found some of this stuff. Oh, darn it. Let me see. I want to see the tweet. Here we go. Jeffrey Epstein received forwarded emails from Deepak Chopra about Diane Hennessy Powell seeking funding for her new experiments on autistic children. So here's Diane Powell, the girl we saw from the thing. She says, "Let me know the bare minimum funding an initial study, including collaboration of Professor Ramachandran, and I'm pursuing Templeton Foundation." And apparently, savant syndrome and non-local mind is what it's called. Yeah. Also in the chain, it says, let's see this one. Follow Jerry Coe, by the way, Dr. Gerald Coe. Also in the chain, Daryl Trafford of the Trafford Center featured on a bonus episode of the Telepathy Tapes, links and emails. I wish you luck in the funding. That would be nice. I will continue my work here. If there's any way I can contribute to your work, let me know. Telepathy does exist among the persons I've seen and known. I'm less concerned about convincing the paranormal crowd of its validity than I am of convincing professional colleagues. And here they are in the bonus episode, that person. Same name, Treffert. In this bonus episode, we visit the archipelago. Treffert Center, the first and largest gathering of savants in the world. We meet two incredibly born savants, Tony Dubois, completely blind musician who learned to play the piano at age 2. So again, not necessarily like they're being nefarious, but just these are the things being forwarded to Epstein, and we already know that Epstein and Klokus are connected, and we know Klokus funded telepathy tapes, so we know Skywatcher is connected to the telepathy tapes. Do you get what I'm saying? I also want to.
Yep.
What is your? Were you surprised when you saw like some of these telepathy tapes type stuff in the Epstein files, Tuba?
No, I wasn't. But the Jacob Barber thing was a big tell, right? Right away, we picked up on that right away. But then, once I watched the video of Epstein, I told you it was very clear what he was doing. And there were so many correlations. I mean, metaphysics and UFO or UAP research, it's always mixed. That's why the telepathy tapes are big in the
UFO community. Yep, exactly.
It's like undeniable. I've been trying to say this. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah, and real quick here, there's this happened recently with them. I felt it might be good to include. This is the other girl, not Diane Powell. Who is it? Kai Dickens. Yeah, Kai Dickens says that they got infiltrated. You know, so I mean, who knows? Maybe it's all connected.
The government, the CIA and stuff, all these declassified stuff, how they weirdly try to weaponize everything. We've talked about Operation Often, which they tried to weaponize like witchcraft and stuff like that. So this seems kind of like a prime subject for them to approach.
Yeah, and so a lot of people were warning us about that, and I just thought, what? Like, why? Like, I don't have any secrets. Why would someone start? What? Like, because people were warning me. And then a few scientists actually were like, it's not going to happen how you think. It's going to be someone coming in and infiltrating your world, gaining your trust, so they have access to these families.
Whoa.
And they're going to really want to like form beautiful, loving, caring relationships with them.
Sure.
So it's not going to be like Men in Black situation. It's going to be a very quiet, gentle backdoor situation, and that happened, and we all figured out what happened and who it was.
No way.
And so it's all I could do was tell everyone who it was, and so everyone's aware of it. And just to be careful, but that's all we could do. I don't think it was sinister. I think it was just access. It's like people try to get close and know things and form the relationships and form their own relationships. And so it was weird. It was weird because I did not think that would happen. And I'm such not a conspiracy theorist at all, but then it happened.
Well, how has your mindset shifted since that?
Well, it's more just like really warning the parents. Like there's a lot of people who are going to try to be your friend, and they probably have the wrong reasons, you know? And I think for so many families, it's really isolating too. Like for years, it was really hard to leave your house if you had a non-speaker, especially with apraxia. If, they're making noises or can't control their body. And it's like, the world can be mean if you're at,
Now there's something else recently too, which I actually heard on Pattern Still Stories. Shout out them. Apparently there was somebody who was like doing their free Discord, and they were just they went whistleblower on a couple of Substack articles. I'm trying to find it, but I'll probably do another stream at some point about that in depth. And they were just saying like it's kind of shady what's going on in this whole organization. Not saying Kai Dickens seems nice. I don't know, but whenever you're kind of doing this, like I don't know, with kids, and there's been I saw one channel that was going, and maybe I'll do a whole stream about it at some point. But they were like kind of going through some of the experiments they were doing, kind of like with what we just saw, right? They presented this as some like telepathy thing, but like the kid's like, I'm doing push-ups now, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, they shouldn't have included it. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It disproves their point, so it's a strange thing.
Yeah. All right, continuing along here, what do we got next?
My son.
Avi Loeb. Avi. Avi Loeb, famous Harvard astronomer, started the Galileo Project, which investigates UFOs. He also has been in the news at various times. He was really shilling Oumuamua, and just recently through Atlas with the idea that it could potentially be an alien spacecraft, and he is in the Epstein files. But he already has his own little clapback, kind of like Bryan Johnson. Before we do the clapback, let's just do a reminder of people about the 3i Atlas, in case you might have forgot. It's kind of already came and gone, but let's remember this.
There needs to be an international organization, because presumably the aliens don't care how we split territories on this earth. You know, for them it's irrelevant, and this will be a problem for all humans. So there needs to be some coordination among all. We are all in the same boat. And just like President Reagan said, I do think it will bring people together. When you have an external threat, people tend to unite. And that, in a way, is a messianic era. If you think about the arrival of the Messiah, maybe that will come from another star, in the sense that it will bring peace to Earth among all humans. I hope so. I also hope that it will not endanger the future of humanity. And I hope that we could learn from any technologies that they might have that we don't have.
So he was kind of majigulating on this whole, like, right there, right? Like, it's one thing to be like, I think it might be aliens, but to then be like, we need a new world order, and it might bring about the Messianic era. That's like, whoa, Avi, calm down. Calm down, Avi.
Yeah, he got way ahead of himself there.
So here's the where he came up in the Epstein files. He's in Epstein's itinerary schedule on Friday, October 16th, 2015 at 3 p.m. It says Avi Loeb to join the Yao, Kunin, and Andy meeting. And let's not forget, we covered in the last stream, Epstein was very connected to a lot of Harvard people. Avi Loeb is a Harvard person. And again, kind of like to what Ed had said earlier, this is, what year? This is 2015. So I don't really know. I mean, I think there's a little bit more of a wiggle room at that point, if you're mingling with Epstein. But did you, because, I mean, he had still done bad stuff, but it wasn't like the cultural almost phenomenon that it is now, where it's like everyone knows what he is up to. Did you see Avi Loeb's response to being named in these documents? Have you seen this yet?
The calendar?
Yeah, ready for this?
Yeah, that was sketchy, dude.
Was it, right? I was like, okay, let's see. So Avi Loeb, this is what he had to say about it.
I need to ask you about something
This is Lost in Y'all. Shout them out. Yeah, here we go. Here's Avi Loeb's response.
Found on X or Twitter a few minutes ago. Before the interview, I was searching for 3A Atlas, and then I found a post from a ufologist saying something like you had an interview with Jeffrey Epstein on 2015.
Look at his face. I don't know.
No, I never met the guy. There are many people who want to meet with me. And at that time, 2015, I was chair of the astronomy department. But
I have a
people
date.
want to meet with me, but I've never. Maybe someone was talking about trying to arrange a meeting with me, but I didn't meet with him at all.
October 16,
and
2015. October 16.
I can.
So I just want to pause here before he gets into the calendar. But like, my post had I think 60, 70,000 engagements. Project Unity's about similar. Even Jeremy McGowan's had like 20,000. The idea that like he didn't know already ahead of time that he was in there and is kind of acting surprised, to me is a little shady. And then that paired with the fact that he has his calendar ready to go, I think is a little shady. Anything too, but before we get to the calendar part, on just his initial like what? Like, you know what I mean?
I think he cleared the question before the show.
Yes.
Right. He cleared it before the show, so he had to kind of act like he was like, oh yes, of course. Let me show you my calendar to completely absolve myself that I made yesterday. Like, okay.
Yeah. Interflex says he's breaking eye contact nervously. Jess says Avi's acting weird, too defensive about it too quick.
I can easily go to my calendar and share it with you right now, and we can look at it. And you're saying October 16 and what time?
Yes, I have the time is October 16, 2015, Friday, and the time is 3 p.m. That's the time.
Okay, let me You know, my calendar goes back more than a decade.
Whoa.
So I'm just putting it on my calendar, October 16th. Let me share my screen so you can see my calendar from October 16th.
Okay.
Here it is. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with a postdoc at 9 a.m. Then I met with the director of the Center for Astrophysics for our weekly meeting at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah.
I had a group meeting, and then I since I was the chair of the astronomy department, I had a faculty meeting. There is nothing. And then another postdoc at 1:30 and some other commitment at 3:15. No meeting whatsoever on October 16th with anyone at 3 p.m. Okay, no meeting. Yeah. You are looking at my calendar, didn't touch it. I just went to it right now, and there is nothing. And I would have.
Why didn't he get specific with what this one was? But he was all specific about these ones. And then technically the meeting was at 3, and like I don't know. Maybe I'm being too cynical.
Remembered if such a meeting took place. Now it may well be the case that someone wanted to arrange a meeting with me. There are lots of people who want to arrange a meeting with me, and there was no meeting. There was no meeting.
Just click it and delete it.
What is exactly the point of those people? Who put
really
it
don't
out?
know, Professor, because
now it's a good now we're the assholes for like covering that it was in the files, right? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Even if there were a meeting, but there was not a meeting.
Yeah.
But even
if there was a meeting, it would have been at Harvard, and it would have been in the context of some coordinated visit. At the time, I've never. I was not aware of what's going on, in terms of fundraising in this context.
Because scientists used to look for funds to the investigations, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is Avi not the king of asking motherfuckers for money? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were trying to ask Kim Kardashian for money.
He's trying to ask Kim Kardashian for money. Let me see. Let me pull more classic. He's trying to ask Congress for money. Let's see if I could find it fast enough or not. So yeah, I mean, I kind of not trying to be a dick, but I could totally see him asking Epstein for money, and especially like before he was like really known, like you know what I mean. Oh, here we go.
We should invest $1 billion. We need to invest $1 billion in this task. It's one of the unusual opportunities to invest $1 billion in science.
He's always asking people for money, and then there's also this too. Did you ever see when he went on Ashton's show and did
to see here?
He kind of did another one of these like fake like, whoa, I'm seeing this for the first time, when it's like, we know you this isn't the first time, bro.
Oh, interesting.
Is the most controversial thing kind of on the internet recently is that plane's gone. I'll play it again so you can see, but
okay, now do we know that these images were not manipulated?
We don't know with any level of certainty. I don't want to like have this whole podcast be about that, but I just wanted.
No, but that's very interesting. I mean, I'll be glad to look at it more.
Some people think that these videos are fake and that they're debunked and what have you. Other people, including myself, think they're real. Okay. But the reason why I bring it up is not just random. I'm not trying to promote myself here. Is that we see these dark lines in front of these orbs, and that seems to be their propulsion mechanism. And what we see right here is also all black when this plane disappears, which means it's cold.
Now, the camera that took these, where was
this is a drone that's taking this. This is a General Atomics drone. You can see it in the beginning of the video right here.
Okay. I wonder, for example, whether there is any footage from the U.S. government satellites of that.
Funny that you asked.
Doesn't that seem like bullshit to you? Like, Avi, you're going on Ashton's show, the MH370 guy, and you don't know if there's a satellite thing of the. Like, I wonder if there is,
because there's a second video. And I don't mean to knock you down the rabbit hole.
For example, whether the
drone, you can see it in the beginning of the video right here.
Okay. I wonder, for example, whether there is any footage from the U.S. government satellites of that.
Funny that you asked, because there's a second.
Point being, I just kind of get the vibe he was bullshitting there. All right, back to this. Let's see.
Yeah, so for example, at that time, in 2015, that was the time when I was starting to organize a black hole center, a black hole initiative. And there were a number of people involved in that, and colleagues from the Department of Mathematics, the Department of Physics, the History of Science, and from the Astronomy Department, Center for Astrophysics. And so I was.
So yeah, point being there, I thought it'd be fun to play a little bit of the tie thing. Fuck it, since we're here.
But
kind of indicated
he was
tie.
like something was off. Like I could cut the fucking tension in that car with a knife. And I just like looked over to him and I'm like, everything okay, buddy? And he's like, dude, I have never been ripped into so hard in my life by anybody. He just starts telling me how he can charge me $10,000 for an interview, how I offended him by picking him up myself, how about I mean, every single way this guy could belittle me, he belittled me. He said it was too hot in the car. Mind you, the heat was not on, and it was July. I had the AC on. The car was not hot. And for anyone who wants to ask, it was not hot. And he's like freaking out. Then the GPS is telling me to go one way. He doesn't like the way that I go, and he rips into me about that. He doesn't stop yelling at me until I pull in the driveway. Then I had already texted Jess, my girlfriend, and I had like warned her
So I'm getting a little bit of the Goyam kind of energy, just saying. And then there's also this moment too, which kind of all makes me think like maybe he would.
Okay, maybe we should.
Maybe he would have been like Lawrence Krauss, like cheesing, Just saying, just thinking out
ask
loud.
Kim Kardashian to maybe she can ask for the.
This is during the 3A Atlas saga where he was trying to get Kim Kardashian to join her
photo.
Well, I will be delighted to tell Kim Kardashian all the details about 3A Atlas and explain to her why science is so valuable, and maybe she will become a scientist. I would love to engage her in my research. So here is an official statement. Kim, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll give you much more information than you got from the acting administrator of NASA so far.
So that happened. All right, let's continue along here. How you doing, Tuba? How are you feeling?
Wild.
Remember when this happened?
Hell yeah, dude.
Get it, Avi. All right.
Jack Sarfatti said
okay, this is a quick one. We only have one on this one, but Jack Sarfatti's Deepak Chopra is just forwarding Jack Sarfatti email threads all the way to Epstein all the time. So I just thought this was funny. George and Ab kind of comes up in those. Again, not like they're emailing him, but it just we've heard about this infamous email thread forever. People always try to get off it. Here's a physicist on Danny Jones talking about it.
Russian agent.
He's friends with Russia.
Now he's friends with Russia. I know.
He brags that Putin.
I know.
Putin invited me to Russia 16 times.
No, he didn't. And Trump did not invite him to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Look, like I said, look, if Jack is listening to this, if you take me off your email list, Jack, I will proclaim to everyone you are the greatest scientist who ever lived. I will do anything if you just stop fucking emailing me.
Jack.
But
let's
I can't.
You can't?
You know why? Because he CCs everyone instead of BCC. He doesn't have an email list. So anytime anyone else replies,
you get it.
I'm back on the list.
There's got to be technology. We can't. We're that low tech. We can't figure out.
Isn't it hilarious that Jeffrey Epstein or the Jack Sarfatti email thread comes up in this shit? I thought it was pretty funny. Okay,
I would have been disappointed if it didn't.
Right? Like all these esoteric emails with like
dude.
white dudes and shit. Yeah.
I mean, think of time travel, like all this. Oh,
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
I bet you he was on it at one point in time, huh? Had to have been. Had to. Maybe not. All right, this was a big one. The Zodiac group is in there. Are you familiar with the Zodiac group, Tupa?
No, I kept thinking they were talking about the Zodiac killer or something.
Yeah, no, I don't think they were. So this is what people say was an offshoot of MJ12. So MJ12, they say allegedly was like the group of like high-level scientists, 12 dudes who run the UFO profile. And they say it got changed to the Zodiac. I'm going to have some clips of people explaining it. But let me just read this first, and then we'll cover it, and then we'll come back to it and read it again. So he gets an email from an unknown person in 2010, and it says, I just got a note from Bob Pree, who asked me if I thought Murray Gell-Mann would make a good candidate for the Zodiac. As you know, it's one of the last secret type societies. The Zodiac is one of the really cool ones where there are 12 members at any one time, and it's still very secret. They do really cool stuff, but mostly since they are all very old, it's just dinners and exotic locations. I can tell you all the 12 members because I can't tell you all the 12 members because I don't know who they all are. But I know Paul Volcker is one. So again, 12 members, just like Majestic 12. Kind of odd, right? Some guy named Howdy, whose family owns Student Town, Bob Pre, and I think Tom Brokaw. Bob represents Cancer, the sign, not the month. You remember until your death, but if you get senile, they can put you into an eccentric orbit and not invite you to meetings, etc. Anyway, the only way to get in is if someone dies. There are obviously no minorities or women allowed. LOL. I missed that the first time through. There are obviously no minorities or women allowed. Anyway, let me know what you think. Finally leaving West Africa tonight. Finally. Let me know when you get your postcard. You'll hopefully laugh a lot. Miss you.
That's crazy.
So instead of Jeffrey Epstein being like, I don't know what the Zodiac is, or like, what are you talking about? He says, Maury doesn't play well in groups. So kind of just like, I kind of pass on that. So I'm going to look up the names of those while I let these other videos play where we're going to get some UFO people talking about it. So here's Richard Dolan talking about the Zodiac. And I'm just going to go on a limb and say they're talking about the same thing. 12 members, the Zodiac. Find me another, the Zodiac Secret Society. You know what I mean? Here we go.
I'm guessing a lot of your listeners might know about Zodiac because you probably talked about it enough. Yeah. So, but that whole thing came out in a series of articles in UFO magazine, of all places, back in the late 90s, written by a guy under a pseudonym named Greg Halifax. That was the pseudonym. The real author is Jeffrey Griffith, who's still alive, still out there. He's
Won't
an attorney.
talk to anybody, but everybody try him, please.
Well, don't hassle the guy. He's going to just curl under a shell. And I like to think that there might be a way to reach him. But in any case, he's an interesting man because so he wrote this 3-part series dealing with essentially the inside workings of a crash retrieval, and not just crash retrieval, but like kind of like an MJ-12 UFO management program, essentially, by the name of Zodiac.
Really quick, I want to interject and say it says that the name changed to the 70s, and in the Zodiac articles, it says the name changed to Zodiac in the 70s, basically. But then it says this is a caveat that kind of came to light more recently, was that during that time of that change, the CIA took control of Zodiac. The CIA, so the crash retrieval program and basically what you can call Majestic 12, was taken over fully by the CIA. They used other assets in the DOD, but the CIA, it said the agency took complete control of the program, basically. And I had heard from an intelligence source, obviously, confidentially, that, something to a similar effect of where the CIA was in charge of the Majestic 12 operations. But also recently, a few friends of mine, Christopher Sharp, Matt Ford, wrote an article talking about an agency. It's under the directorate. It's part of the CIA, Science and Technology Directorate, and that this CIA program was in charge of the retrievals. And it was called, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name right now, the Global Access Office.
Oh yeah, we've been recently hearing about this as well. This came out.
That's the one where Matt Ford had his
It
gangster.
ended up being printed in the Daily Mail because that's where they could get it.
Yeah, just like a month ago.
But yes, but they had inside sources, anonymously, but these are people that may come forward. But they're dealing with this, and it was
They
saying
said there were at least a dozen over the last in the last 20 years, I think.
Right. Yeah, since 2003 or so.
Yeah. Right.
And so the Global Access Office, and again, this is the same kind of indication that the CIA is in charge of the retrieval program, and it makes sense because that's international.
Yeah, and their job was...
Shout out James Ian Doley, engaging the phenomena, by the way, with this interview, and Richard Dolan here telling us about it.
Essentially to cultivate, let's say, delicate relationships with all nations, including hostile nations, to be able to provide U.S. Special Ops personnel access to the scene of these retrievals so that they could acquire them.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you in your
no,
Zodiac flow,
that's
because,
all interesting.
Yeah,
but it all ties in, and so this the whole Zodiac program, as written about by pseudonym is Greg Halifax, aka Jeffrey Griffith, gives, it's actually a remarkable 3-part
series about this fictionalized but very realistic scenario. And I don't know if people have access to it on my website. And I mean, I have a membership website, but this is a free link I have on my site. Anyone can go get it. You just go to my site, type in Sedge Masters. You can find the article and download the PDF link. I created that PDF myself, just photographed the old UFO magazines.
Yeah.
You can't scan it that way, but you can at least read it. And it's very good reading. But the thing is, Griffith was friends with, he was listed, he was mentioned in the Davis Wilson notes.
Yeah.
Along with a very close friend and colleague of his, a woman named Mary Elizabeth Elliott. And I don't know that she is alive anymore. It's not 100% certain to me, but it could be either way. She may not be around. If she is, my apologies to her. But she worked in some capacity at TRW Aerospace, and she was said to have gotten access to some very, very significant inside information in that capacity through Wright-Patterson. Don't know every detail. And furthermore, I have a feeling that the two of them very well may have had their own UFO experience together, which he wrote about in that Sedge Masters series. It was off of Palos Ranchos Verdes, California, Rancho Palos Verdes, sorry. Along the Pacific coast there, right facing the Channel Islands, where you got UFOs, USOs all over the place. And an object came from the ocean, flew over their car. I think this was them. And they chased after the UFO.
Yeah.
They went up a road until the road stopped, and they went on foot. They go up there and they see this armed, uniformed guy who tells them to get out. They're trespassing on private property. They're like, we're chasing a UFO.
Yeah.
And he's like, get out. And then they go back and they're thinking, how did that guy get up there? What's this all about? So it was a very weird thing. So he had some interesting connections to this phenomenon. But I think, I'm guessing, maybe through his own contacts, but maybe through her as well, he knows a lot. And I think he decided to gently, carefully put out that information that he felt he could through this fictionalized series.
Yeah, and the last time I had George Knapp and Cullum Kelleher on, I started to ask Cullum. I said, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say some words, TRW, Mary Elliott, Jeffrey Griffith. And he said, I can't talk about that program.
Look
at this clip. Ready for this clip? This is wild. So they're all talking about the Zodiac thing, which I think it's the same Zodiac mentioned in the files. Well, I'm going to read the email again after I play this next clip, but look at this.
I'm going to bring up some names. And
there's James Andoli again. Shout out, engaging the phenomenon. We got Colm Kelleher, project scientist for OSAP and worked for Bigelow back in the day. And then we have George Knapp, of course.
Heavy hitters, dude.
Look at this reaction. Have you ever seen a reaction like this from Colm Kelleher ever?
Colm, you can tell me if they sound familiar. Jeffrey Griffith, Mary Elliott, TRW.
I'm not going to comment on that
because I'm not saying anything. I'm not attaching a name to it. I'm just saying,
Well, I know where that is going, so I'm not at liberty to comment on that program.
Okay, but are you even able to say the name, or is it something where you can't even say the name of it?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that program, so I'm not. It's part of what I can't talk about.
George, can you tell me what I'm talking about?
No, not really. No.
You can't say the name?
I don't think I want to go there. No.
They're talking about Zodiac right here, just in case people are. Oh shit! Uh-oh.
That's
I'm gonna bring up some names,
right?
But that's because that's of high interest. Does that have anything to do with David Grush coming out and anything that he discovered while he was doing his investigation for the UAP task force?
I think Dave did touch fist bumps with some of that information and some of those people, but you'd have to ask him that. He'd have to be the one to answer that. I just say this, James, at the end of this, Colm and I go way back to the Skinwalker Ranch days, and that ranch it is still a unique.
Let's go back to the beginning of there a little bit.
Because I'm not saying anything. Jeffrey Griffith, Mary Elliott, TRW?
I'm not going to comment on that
because I'm not saying anything. I'm not attaching a name to it. I'm just saying,
Well, I know where that is going, so I'm not at liberty to comment on that program.
Okay, but are you even able to say the name, or is it something where you can't even say the name of it?
I like James a lot.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that program, so I'm not. It's part of what I can't talk about.
We'll let Nab go.
George,
I want to hear.
Can you tell me what I'm talking about?
No, not really.
All right. So what do you think, Tuba? We got these two kind of big time UFO people talk about a lot of stuff, and they both kind of are clamming up and like clenching their butts about this Zodiac thing.
Well, that's obviously significant. I like James, but I think it's weird that he is laughing about this. I know he's nervous, right? But I mean, he's trying to get these guys to say something. Like Keller seems like he can get in trouble if he talks about this. So bring it up once, be very gentle about it, move on. You know what I mean? But that's weird. But they knew he was going to bring this kind of stuff up. It's almost theatrical to dance around it and be like, oh, I can't say nothing about that.
Right.
That's another way to build the myth too.
Yeah. So crazy. Now let's go back to the email again. So do you think it's the same Zodiac or no? We got the name of the Zodiac, a secret society, the 12-member thing. I just got a note from Bob Pree, who asked me if he thought Murray Gell-Mann would make a good candidate. Let me see. I looked it up. Bob Pree says Robert S. Pree. I think I actually have it on the next thing. We'll go back and forth. Robert S. Pree attended Buckley Law School in New York City, Hotchkiss School, died 2015. Graduated from Harvard College and Harvard Law School as an undergraduate. He was attracted to bibliographical work in Elizabethan authors and began to collect actively in the late 1950s while a lieutenant in the U.S. Army stationed in Germany. During the 1960s and early 1970s, Pree was associated with law firms in Boston. His work for Harold Hughes, for the Harold Hughes election campaign, which might be a descendant of Howard Hughes. I need to double check that. During this time, landed him in the master list of Nixon's political opponents. He later practiced in New York City and then served as an intern as a chairman and CEO of Rothschild North America, senior managing director of Bear Stearns and Company. So there's that Rothschild thing. And again, Epstein said to Peter Thiel, of all people, that he represents the Rothschilds. And who talked about the Rothschilds too was Chris Gray in his murder video. Yeah,
wild.
Really fucked up. But okay, so continue on with the email. Just got a note from Bob Pree, who asked me if he thought Murray Gell-Mann would make a good candidate for the Zodiac. And we got Murray Gell-Mann here. Let me just show you guys this real quick. Murray Gell-Mann died in 2019, was an American theoretical physicist who played a preeminent role in the development of the theory of elementary particles. Gell-Mann introduced the concept of quarks as the fundamental building blocks of the strongly interacting particles and the renormalization group as a foundational element of quantum field theory and statistical mechanics. And all the if you look at the original MJ12 list, right, it has a bunch of people kind of like this. You know what I mean? Like a theoretical physicist on the forefront of his field, entering a secret society of 12 people. I kind of think it's all the same thing here. All right, let's continue along. As you know, it's one of look at that's an important one. As you know, so right, Jeffrey already knows all about the Zodiac. As you know, it's one of those last secret type societies. The Zodiac is one of the really cool ones. There are 12 members at any one time, and it's still very secretive. Again, 12 members, just like Majestic 12. Let me see. Do I have any of that? Is there a short thing on it? Let's see. I'm trying to find like a quick one. I know I have it in one of my videos too, but I don't remember what exactly it was in. We'll just continue along reading for now. I can tell you that there are 12 members at any one time, and it's still very secretive. They do really cool stuff, and mostly since they're all very old, just dinners and exotic locations. I can't tell you all the 12 members because I don't know who they all are. I know Paul Volcker is one, so I got him looked up too. Let's see who this dude is. Died in 2019. Paul Volcker was an American economist who served as the 12th chairman of the Federal Reserve from 1979 to 1987. During his tenure as chairman, Volcker was widely credited with having ended the high levels of inflation seen in the United States throughout the 1970s and early 1980s with measures known as the Volcker shock. So far we got quantum physicist, Federal Reserve banking chairs, all part of a secret 12-man group. Interesting. Continuing along here. Where is it at? Because I don't know who they all are. I know Paul Volcker is one. Some guy named Howdy, whose family owns Stevenstown, Bob Pree, and I think Tom Brokaw, who I think is the last name I have. Let's see who this guy is. still alive. This guy's an author. Is an American author and retired network television journalist. He served as the co-anchor of the Today Show from 1976 to 1981 with John Pauley, then as the anchor and managing editor of NBC Nightly News. In the previous decade, he served as a weekend anchor for the program from 1973 to 1976. He is the only known person to have hosted all three major NBC News programs, the Today Show, NBC Nightly News, and briefly Meet the Press. He formerly held a special correspondent post for NBC. So a high-level person at NBC. Kind of an interesting group, right? To all be part of a 12-man secret society. Doesn't that kind of feel like an MJ12 type group? What do you think, people?
Yeah, some kind of group that can yield power from having influence in multiple areas of influence.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where I have my little short excerpt. I think it was in my Stan Friedman doc. Let me see. I'm going to try and find it real quick because people need to see what MJ12 is, and I think I had it real short in that one. MJ12. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's my Stan Friedman doc.
UFOs are real.
UFOs have become the subject of serious investigation by professional scientists. One of the 12 scientists to give evidence before the U.S. congressional hearings on UFOs is California nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, who spent 14 years in private industry working extensively on classified government-sponsored projects such as this nuclear rocket engine and other advanced space systems. Since 1970, he is the only space scientist known to be devoting full time to UFOs. After 21 years of study and investigation,
sorry guys if I didn't get the right thing.
That the evidence is simply overwhelming that our planet Earth is being visited by intelligently controlled vehicles whose origin is off the Earth.
That same year, while lecturing in Louisiana and doing press in Baton Rouge, one of the television hosts who was interviewing Stanton told him something that would change
I think I
his
might have
life
got the
forever.
wrong fucking thing here.
The
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here we
interviewer
go. Here we
told
go. Sorry,
Same
guys.
time, the UFO community began piecing together the existence of Majestic 12 through various allegedly leaked documents. Majestic 12 is a purported organization that appears in UFO conspiracy theories. The organization is claimed to be the code name of an alleged secret committee of scientists.
So far we got, let me see. Oh shit. Fuck. Sorry guys. Roscoe Hillenkotter right there on the left, first director of the CIA. Vannevar Bush, who's the head of MIT and the National Research something. Who's that? James Forstall, the first Secretary of Defense. You have Howard Donald Menzel, head of Harvard, big time debunker for the Air Force during that time period. These are all people allegedly were part of Majestic 12. So it's kind of like an eclectic group of like scientists, politicians, government people that were like keeping a lid on this stuff.
An alleged secret committee of scientists, military leaders, and government officials formed in 1947 by an executive order by U.S. President Harry S. Truman to facilitate recovery and investigation of alien spacecraft. Many of the alleged documents were dispelled as fakes. However, Stanton Friedman would analyze the documents himself. He came to the conclusion that while some were fake, key documents like the Eisenhower memo were authentic.
In researching his book on the Majestic 12 documents, Friedman meticulously verified every detail within the Eisenhower document. He investigated each supposed member of the group and found that they were the best and brightest military minds of the day, including Secretary of Defense James Forstall, high-ranking Army, Navy, and Air Force officers, and the first 4 directors of Central Intelligence.
One of Friedman's last major...
All right, there you go. So, I don't know, man. I can't tell you who all the 12 members are because I don't know who they all are, but I know Paul Volcker is one, some guy named Howdy. As you are a member until your death, but if you get senile, they can put you into eccentric orbit and not invite you to meetings, etc. Anyway, the only way to get in is if someone dies. There's obviously no minorities or women allowed. Again, that's hilarious. And I'm a minority, so I can laugh at it. Anyway, let me know what you think. Finally leaving West Africa tonight. Finally, let me know when you get your postcard. You'll hopefully laugh a lot, miss you. And then again, Jeffrey Epstein isn't like, what the hell? What do you mean the Zodiac? What are you talking about? He says, Murray doesn't play well in groups. I don't know about this Murray guy. I don't know about adding him. And again, Murray is the guy who invented or discovered quarks, theoretical physicist. The other people we saw, there was Volcker, they named, former chairman of the Federal Reserve. Tom Brokaw, former NBC News guy. I think it's it, bro. What else could it be?
I think you're right, and I wonder if doesn't play well in groups is like code for something, like won't attend an orgy or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, but again, if anyone has any other ideas of what Zodiac this could be in the comments, please let me know. But I don't know, bro. I think I found something kind of big here. You know, just saying. Can't wait to see all the shows kind of spin it. Hopefully they give me credit. If not, it's cool. How it goes. Okay, what next? Okay, on to the next one. We're almost done too, but believe it or not, I'm sorry. How are you doing on time? Are you tired? Are you dead?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay, cool. This is a good time, right? Like,
Yeah,
fuck it.
yeah. I'm
Cool.
blunted. I got a Diet Coke. Dude, we're living our life.
Oh, Diet Coke. Let's go, bro. Hell yeah. All right. All right. There's that. Dean Radin. Dean Radin.
No,
Dean
no.
Radin, dude. Dean Radin. Here's a photo of the holy ship spoon I bent to Jeffrey Epstein, 2018. This isn't one of those.
No.
This isn't one of those forwarded emails. This is a direct email from Dean to Jeff. Who is let's see, I think I got one more too, and then we're gonna look at like who is Dean Radin. What do we got next here? They also had a Zoom call for 40 minutes that same month, 2018. Here says Jeff, call type from Dean Radin, 48 minutes on April 2018. Here we go. April 2nd, 2018. So right around the time of the spoon. So again, Dean Radin, he's the head of the Institute for Noetic Sciences, which is an organization created by the late astronaut Edgar Mitchell, as well as had some of their early funding supported by Wernher von Braun. Actually, I might try and find my segment for my other documentary about that. But real quick, here is a little bit about the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Here's one of their... Oh, wow.
For 44 years, the Institute of Noetic Sciences has forged the frontier of a deeper understanding of how consciousness interacts with our world and how we can harness that power to help humanity and the planet thrive.
I like the music.
Founded by Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, IONS embodies the adventurer spirit. Today, we are the largest multidisciplinary team working on some of the most profound questions involving consciousness. We are boldly pushing the boundaries of our understanding of what it means to be human, marrying rigorous scientific exploration and intergenerational programs with noetic inner awareness. The key to creating a sustainable future is to gain a more complete understanding of consciousness. How does it work? And how can we leverage its awesome, expansive power?
The music's getting me going, bro.
As one species of many on this planet, must find that middle way of science and our personal...
Okay, let's go to my Edgar Mitchell documentary, which is unlisted to the public for now because I need to fix the audio, which I'm going to hopefully do soon, especially with all this shit breaking. But here's my little segment on Edgar Mitchell making Institute of Noetic Science. Let's see.
Institute of Noetic Sciences, or years before they had left NASA. He eventually founded the Institute of Noetic Sciences, or IONS, in 1973. The word noetic derives from the Greek word nous, meaning mind or way of knowing. The Institute conducts research on topics such as spontaneous remission, meditation, consciousness, consciousness-based healthcare, spirituality, human potential, psychic abilities, psychokinesis, and the survival of consciousness after bodily death. Wernher von Braun would speak at many of the early IONS fundraising benefits to help raise money for his friend Ed's new venture. And eventually, Ed was able to open up a campus in Petaluma, California, about an hour north of San Francisco.
I think that's Dean Radin, yo. I think that's Dean Radin being young right there. Let's go back.
Von Braun would speak at many of the early IONS fundraising benefits to help raise money for his friend Ed's new venture. And eventually, Ed was able to open up a campus in Petaluma, California.
Yeah, that's young Dean Radin, is it not? I'm pretty sure that is.
No doubt. Yeah,
100%.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, okay, that's going to be a little bit longer.
About an hour north of San Francisco. This sudden change of lifestyle was too much for Ed's wife, and they soon separated. Ed was sad about that, but excited to be pursuing interests he had had on the back.
You know, actually might be connected. You know who he started dating after this? Or a Playboy bunny. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Leaves NASA, gets all into this esoteric shit, breaks up with his wife who was like ride or dying with him through all the like the NASA like years, and then starts marrying a Playboy bunny. Kind of odd. Maybe it's not as odd though when we look at everything. So yeah, there you go. I mean, what do you think about this, Tupa? Spoonbending, Epstein, Dean Radin. What did you think?
Seemed
when
like
you saw
he really
this?
wanted to impress Epstein. You know, clearly they've talked. I mean, the idea of spoonbending and Dean Radin and Epstein at all. You know what I mean? I hate to keep harping on this, but it does seem like there's a connection here between metaphysics, pseudoscience, or whatever you want to call the science of spoonbending, whatever, and this guy. I mean, he was interested in it, and people were trying to wow him all the time. He would have definitely been at Esalen.
Yeah,
he would have been one of those high net worth individuals.
100%, 100%. And here's a more recent clip of Dean Radin just to see kind of the vibe he's been on.
And so we have identified a genetic sequence on chromosome 7 of DNA, which was the opposite of what we thought originally. We originally thought there's some special gene that makes people psychic superstars, and we'll find what that is. And so we got people who are psychic from psychic families and controls who are not psychic from non-psychic families, and did a standard case control study, which is what you do with genetics. So we found this difference between the two.
Also, like the stream. If you're on X, retweet the stream. Send it to your friends in the DMs.
But the difference was that it looks like most people who are, quote, average, normal, average people, they have capacity or psychic ability. It's these other people, still a pretty large proportion of the population, we think, maybe 40%, we don't know exactly, who don't have this particular gene. And by not having it, their capacity for having these kinds of experiences is much, much lower than the average person. So this is kind of backwards, because we're basically saying it looks like everyone can have these experiences, except this group of maybe 40% who end up being extremely skeptical because it's not part of their experience and they don't know how to make it part of their experience. And so one of the people working with us is a specialist in sociogenetics, which was a discipline I didn't even know existed until he started working with us. And what it's about is looking at the genes of a population and how that orients a population towards certain kinds of beliefs and certain predilections. So he did this analysis and found a very strong correlation between and this is a negative correlation. We were originally saying, well, maybe the Druids have, that portion of Northern Scotland or Ireland, maybe they have more psychic ability because they have legends about such things. We found the opposite.
Eugenics, acute eugenics.
We found a place that has a deficit of people with psychic talent. And from a socioeconomic or a socio-historical perspective, it turns out to be Christianity. So we're thinking this is Holy Roman Empire plus or minus a couple of countries.
What do you think about that, Tupa? So not only are left-handed gay people more psychic, Christians are less psychic.
Well, they're turning, it's white people turning brown people into fetishes, you know what I mean? Diluting their own, you know what I mean? It's such a weird thing that you see in this particular group.
It was already bad enough to be like Celtic people are more psychic, which maybe, maybe there's like actually like, you know what I mean? Like genes, but then to be like gay people are more psychic, and then to be like Christians are actually deficit in psychic.
So
like we're getting farther away from like genetic things to like ideologies now. Maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Let's run that back a little bit. Very fucking weird.
Or Ireland, maybe they have more psychic. Well, maybe the Druids have, that portion of Northern Scotland or Ireland, maybe they have more psychic ability because they have legends about such things. We found the opposite. We found a place that has a deficit of people with psychic talent. And from a socioeconomic or a socio-historical perspective, it turns out to be Christianity. So we're thinking this is Holy Roman Empire plus or minus a couple of countries over time. There's a deficit of this particular genotype, basically.
So you mean the geographic birthplace of Christianity? You don't mean Christians around the world in general?
No, it's like the birthplace, and then high density is going to be near that birthplace. So we're talking about probably Italy, Spain, a few countries around there, which are still heavily Catholic. There's a deficit of this gene, of this sequence. And so in thinking about that, we were trying to figure out.
Very, very odd. Let's look at those emails again one more time. Here's a photo of the holy shit spoon I bent. What do you think he meant by that? The holy shit spoon I bent. Holy shit spoon? Like it was just so.
Yeah.
It was just super bent well. Best wishes, Dean.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at what I can do. Look what I can do, dude. He wants the attaboy. He wants the wow. It's weird. He's looking for Epstein's kind of like approval, but also, you know, I don't know. It's very strange.
And again, what do you think they might have talked about on this 40-minute Skype call? And again, Skype, isn't it interesting? Doesn't Skype come up in a lot of weird UFO shit? It's like Skype and Signal are like where all the weird shit goes down.
Yeah, for a while, Skype was the shit. What? And so this was 2018?
Yes. And again, kind of like Vedit said, this is after everyone kind of knew who he was, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're doing experiments on people and their kids about psi and shit. And I feel like he's probably connected to some of that weird like blood collection of experiencers we got going on. If he's not, I'm sorry, but like, bro, when you're doing this shit, people have the right to judge you, right? Just saying. Okay. Next, we got Rupert Sheldrake, who I didn't even really know much about, but I guess he's big. He's another kind of like Dean Radin, one of these parapsychologist guys.
Kind of. I mean,
do you know about him? Tell me.
Yeah, I think he rooted in is a little more rooted in science and less new age. It's just that he's covering some very interesting new age ideas, but he looks at it from a scientific perspective. I don't think he's coming at any of these from a new age perspective, because he talks about things like biophotons, that bodies must give off light. It's not just that you absorb light, but bodies must give it off too, because and they must be able to basically there must be a mechanism where animals know that they're being watched. And that must be light coming off of eyes. And when that light comes off of an eye and touches a body, bodies have receptors for it. Now, it goes into some other stuff, basically into the reality is you're projecting the reality. You could be projecting reality from your eyes outward as opposed to.
Is he a Rosicrucian? Why do I get the vibe like he's like a Rosicrucian or something, this Rupert Sheldrake guy?
I'm sure he is.
Okay. I'll read the email. Fuck it. And actually, let me go ahead and throw some of this shit on there too. Okay. So from Rupert Sheldrake to Jeff, this is 2016. So, you know, I think he still was convicted of a bunch of crazy shit at that point. Dear Jeffrey, very good talk. Just so it's a bit clearer what I'm talking about with the simoscope, there are some stills of the patterns. The dark holes are where vortices burrow under the surface. These are 3D patterns. They're only about 1.5 inch wide and 1/4 inch deep. There's a lot of concentrated structure. Jeffrey Epstein responds, re-images, I think it's obvious that there are mathematical irregularities, i.e. even number of holes. Non-biological, I would argue, as most things like plants, etc. are odd. Carbon stacking, I would ask, why does a major seventh chord resolve into the dominant? I like the concept if the circular fifths of morphic resonance. And my telepathy guess is that the consciousness gets in the way, just as it does when speaking or improvising music. Trying to consciously play a sonata is virtually impossible, or removing the conscious obstacle, the music is allowed to spout out. The number of notes called recalled. So he's kind of talking about getting into the flow state, which is kind of something that remote viewers talk about, like too, right? Like if you think about it too hard, it won't work. You kind of got to let it like flow through you. That's coming from Jeffrey Epstein there. It's kind of interesting now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's all in the mix. Let's look at, we got friend of the show, Kelly Chase, 2023. This mind-blowing new paper by Rupert Sheldrake is mentioned in my upcoming interview with JD Madden. If you like the ideas that push the boundaries of what you think you know, this is a very fun read. Is the sun conscious? Is he where this idea comes from? That's kind of been getting more traction, right? The conscious sun, or the sun is a portal. And we also have another friend of the show, Astral. Just filmed an interview with Rupert Sheldrake like 3 days ago or 4 days ago. Isn't that hilarious? Like he's in the mix. Here he is, friend of the show, Astral. Just recorded a podcast with Rupert Sheldrake on morphic resonance, telepathy, and the sense of being stared at. Great discussion. And then like 2 days later, he's in the latest batch of the Epstein files. We were laughing about this together on X.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's just funny, right? Like,
yeah.
I was clowning him too. Like, Astral even put on like his nice shirt and shit, and like, and the next thing you know, he's in the FC files. Here's a little clip of Rupert Sheldrake just so we can kind of see what the vibes are like.
And telepathy typically doesn't occur with strangers. It happens between, husbands and wives, lovers, parents and children, especially mothers and babies. It's very common in the human world with telephone calls. I've done a lot of research on telephone telepathy. But it also happens when we're bonded to animals and they're bonded to us. And so one reason I started this research with dogs was because I first got interested in telepathy through a spectacular case in Cambridge when I was doing research there of an autistic child who was highly telepathic with his mother, similar to these recent cases on the telepathy tapes. Years later, when I got back from India and I was working, I was doing various other research projects on morphic resonance, I got interested in returning to telepathy, and I couldn't work with autistic children because I'm not a child psychiatrist and so on. So I thought the next best thing would be dogs, because like autistic children, non-speaking autistic children, they don't speak, which inhibits telepathy, I think, to some degree. And they haven't had a college education, which makes them think telepathy doesn't exist. Dogs, can just come at this naturally, and they haven't been put off it by smart guys who say it's an illusion and so on. So I thought dogs would be ideal, and I heard so many cases of this that I did quite a lot of experimental research along the lines you suggest. We film the dog
Actually, let's play a little more.
the whole time the person's out, have the person go at least 5 miles away, and come back at a random time we select. They don't know in advance when they're going to come home. Call them up on a mobile phone, and to avoid familiar car sounds, they come in an unfamiliar vehicle or a taxi, a different taxi each time. And the film then shows that, when they form the intention to go home before they've even got into the vehicle, the dog becomes alert and goes and starts waiting from a door or window. And the other thing is you can do this over and over again. In human telepathy tests, when you keep repeating them, most people get bored and the scores fall off with time because, the subject's just bored of doing these repetitive tests. But dogs never get bored of their owners coming home. So you can do this over and over again. Anyway, I published papers on this in peer-reviewed journals. They're all on my website, sheldrake.org. And anyone who's interested can look there. And also a film of one of these experiments with a split screen where you can see the dog and the owner at the same time. That's also on my website, sheldrake.org. And
so, yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not surprised that this kind of dude was in Epstein's DMs. Kind of gives me the Dean Radin vibes. They're all kind of like aging, esoteric woo people, which honestly, a lot of them, like Astro just talked to him. A lot of these people, it seemed like they're pretty interesting, but they're just all buddying up with a sex trafficker. Isn't that kind of interesting? Kind of odd, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not great. Doesn't do them good, and they are aging people who were into pseudoscience, who were into metaphysics, who were trying to carry over some kind of like occult thing, but with their scientism. And there is this kind of like energy I'm sensing with these guys, and even the guys in the UAP disclosure movement, right? That this is their last hurrah, right? But this is what they're going to be able to pull off right now. Before the look at Hal Puthoff and Jacques Vallée. God bless them. Hope they live forever. But you know what I mean? They're even Sheldrake is super old. I mean, the New Age movement led to some really weird things over the last little bit of time.
Yeah, like what are some of the weirdest things you think?
Heaven's Gate cult, Scientology. Yeah. Rajneeshis,
Deepak fucking Chopra.
Yeah, dude. John of God. I mean, the list goes on. Like, it's really bad what they're able to do when they can like pry people away from God and insert their own little weirdness. Not that that's what Sheldrake is doing, but just New Age, the New Age movement in general is a strange movement.
Yeah. All right, we got two more little topics here. We're gonna power through them. Mossad Maxwell. This is from Jeffrey Epstein, 2 unknown. It says he has passed away. Robert Maxwell threatened. So again, this is from Jeffrey Epstein talking about Robert Maxwell, the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. Here we see Robert Maxwell here, Ghislaine, young Ghislaine, Jeff, Ghislaine. So here's Jeffrey Epstein. Robert Maxwell threatened Mossad. He told them that unless they gave him 400 million euros to save his crumbling empire, he would expose all he had done for them. In that time, he had free access to Margaret Thatcher's Downing Street, Ronald Reagan's White House, to the Kremlin, and to the corridors of the power throughout Europe. Maxwell passed away on all the secrets. Maxwell passed on all the secrets he learned to Mossad in Tel Aviv. In turn, they tolerated his excesses, vanities, and insatiable appetite for luxurious lifestyle and women. He told his controllers who they should target and how they should do it. He appointed himself as Israel's unofficial ambassador to the Soviet bloc. And he passed away. What do you think about this? I think it's kind of alluding to like Mossad killed him, right? Let me see.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Would you recommend people threaten Mossad like that?
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
I'm gonna look up how he died real quick on ChatGPT. We'll get some aids on this. Let me see. Robert Maxwell, the British media tycoon, and former owner of the Daily Mirror, died on November 5th, 1991, under mysterious circumstances. He was found floating in the Atlantic Ocean near his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, off the Canary Islands. What's known is he had been traveling alone on his yacht. He was last seen alive late at night. His body was discovered hours later in the water. Ongoing controversy. There's been long speculation about whether his death was an accident, suicide, or foul play. So now with this new context that, you know, Jeffrey Epstein is saying that he threatened Mossad and that he passed away. Kind of interesting, right? And I got this little clip of when you talking with George Santos and Ian Carroll and Diligent.
That there is an undeniable connection, regardless of the level of their involvement, between Mossad and Ghislaine Maxwell,
Yeah,
and then her proximity to Epstein. Like, that's undeniable.
So hold on. Her proximity to Epstein is undeniable. Yes. Her father being Mossad is a highly speculated
This is George Santos, former congressman who just got bailed out by Trump.
Semitic talking point used over the course of 2 decades to smear
I don't know if
Ghislaine.
I go that far.
I go that far.
Come on,
I go that far. Look,
that
look,
is wild.
I'm going to. I'm
calling
going to.
anti-Semitic.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna be very, very clear that I've come to this own conclusion of mine through research that when some people, some groups define that everything leads to Mossad and Mossad is the end and the burden of everything around us, I've learned very, very much that it's easier to walk away because I cannot.
I list some of the things that are referenced, so that I don't know. I don't know.
Go ahead, but give us the facts.
All right, so Seymour Hersh is reporting. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. He wrote that Maxwell had been working with Mossad for years, although his claims have been disputed. There's a book, Robert Maxwell, Israel's Super Spy by Gordon Thomas. And this claims that Maxwell was deliberately recruited by Israeli intelligence in the 1960s. Maxwell's funeral in Israel. So he received an unusually high-profile funeral attended by multiple Israeli government officials, including then Prime Minister Shamir, and several past and serving heads of Israeli intelligence. His access to sensitive information. As a media mogul, Maxwell had connections to powerful people and potential access to information that would be valuable to intelligence services. The circumstances surrounding his death are weird. The mysterious nature of his death, falling from his yacht, has fueled speculation, with some suggesting it was connected to his alleged intelligence work. Israeli statements.
There's also photos of him in Europe amongst known Mossad operatives.
Yeah. So
quick,
there's just 2 more points. These are the last 2, and I think these are the only real known ones. Former Mossad officer Victor Ostrovsky claimed in his book that Maxwell had previous connections with Israeli intelligence, and then there's just Maxwell's background as a Czechoslovakian-born Jew who lost family in the Holocaust. Some argue he had personal motivations to assist Israel. These are circumstantial, but that's exactly. But you know, that's
so just real quick, Tupac. So just
Tupac,
just
yeah, you're good.
Tupac, sorry. Just to I'm sorry, I'm reading what's abbreviated on my screen. I felt uncomfortable saying that.
You're good, brother. You're good. Just go ahead.
So my entire
the beauty of space is, right, you never know who you're going to be talking to.
So crazy.
all of it is unconfirmed and corroborated. And just as far as the high profile state funeral he received, every prominent Jew of any worthiness, and I hate using that word, but like a mogul titan of industry receives the same treatment in Israel. Just to clarify that fact, Israelis are very good in honoring their notable Jewish, fallen ones. So that's not atypical. I'm just trying to debunk stuff with facts here. Okay. Another thing is, as far as access to intelligence, when you become of a certain caliber of importance or power, as Maxwell was in his time, in his prime, it is not very uncommon to work alongside governments and some of their intelligence in a way where you can assist. For instance, Elon Musk in the U.S. intelligence community, because of his proximity to all the work he does with.
Yeah, sorry. The current person currently talking is Rep. George Santos, former Rep. George Santos from New York.
NASA. He is privy to information. So are we going to turn around and start saying Elon Musk is a CIA asset? Because that would be the equivalent. Without proof and reason beyond proof beyond reasonable doubt, you can't say that it is with certainty. Those are fighting words. Her father was Mossad. That's why I.
That's fine. That's fair. But there's a lot of supporting evidence.
Ian Carroll came in. You're talking about the Jews, dude. Ian Carroll's about to throw down. Let's see.
Ian is trying to chime in. Go ahead, Ian. I called on you first.
Yeah, I just want to point out that you are kind of straw manning the argument. Anytime that you're talking about covert operations, they are designed to be plausibly deniable. You inherently have to understand that speculation is part of the game when you're trying to uncover large covert operations. Like you could make similar arguments about Jeffrey Epstein, but when you look at the totality of the evidence, which it sounds like you have not, seeing as you have not read the sources that Chupacabra was just citing, you've not even read One Nation Under Blackmail, it sounds like. So it's like it's a bad faith interfacing with the evidence, and the evidence is extremely overwhelming that all of his contacts, all the people that he was collaborating with, they all were involved with Israel and other very prominent Zionist and Jewish assets. And so,
Ian, are you suggesting that I'm speaking out of ignorance, that you don't think I was privy to information?
Have you read the book that Chupacabra just read?
Have you read One Nation Under Blackmail? I have not. And
so that would be the definition of make an argument while you're ignorant to the other side's opinions and to the information being cited. Like, do you know about not just
let's ignore the whole.
Hold on, George. He didn't interrupt you, George. Hold on.
No, I know he didn't.
He didn't interrupt you, George. Let him finish. It's okay, but just let him land his plane, and then you can respond. Ian, go ahead.
Probably I was just curious.
He didn't interrupt me because I didn't make a pointed remark about his credibility here. That's the
he wasn't.
Reason. So he literally called me
ignorant.
No. He was
calling you ignorant. I'm saying that if you're making arguments about us,
you said
can I finish my sentence?
Face argument.
Yeah, let him finish, George. Let him respond.
I want to be clear. I think you make great points on lots of things, and I like being in spaces with you. I'm just saying that when we're talking on a specific.
So yeah, point being, I think. Let's read it again. Robert Maxwell threatened Mossad. He told him that unless he gave them $4 million to save his Kremlin empire, he would expose all he had done for them. In that time, he had free access to Margaret Thatcher's Downing Street, Ronald Reagan's White House, to the Kremlin, and to the corridors of power throughout Europe. Maxwell passed on all the secrets he learned to Mossad in Tel Aviv. In turn, they tolerated his excesses, vanities, and insatiable appetite for luxurious lifestyle and women. He told his controllers who they should target and how they should do it. He appointed himself as Israel's unofficial ambassador, and he died in a very kind of sketch way. So yeah, it seems that at the very least, Epstein thought Maxwell was connected to Mossad and maybe even murdered by him. Seems like is what he's saying. So it kind of goes to show these like high level connections. All right, last thing. Epstein alive. I ended this for you, Tupa, because I knew you'd love this. We'll shout out this person. Heather C found it. Did you see this thread today, Tupa? Epstein files. This is huge. The individual who anonymously posted on 4chan the morning of Epstein's death, August 10th, 2019, claims he witnessed weird happenings at the prison before Epstein's death had been identified in the Epstein files. Roberto Grijavala, an officer at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, has been identified as the anonymous employee who posted on 4chan claiming Epstein left his cell Friday evening, shackled in a medical wheelchair, while at the same time an unauthorized trip van arrived at the prison, which he believed took Epstein away the night before news broke of his death. The day after Epstein's death, U.S. Attorney Geoffrey Berman of the SDNY opened a grand jury proceedings and subpoenaed 4chan, Apple, AT&T, and Citibank for records aiming to uncover Gervali's identity following the anonymous 4chan post. So be careful, guys. Nothing's anonymous. You know what I mean? Gervali's name is not redacted on his bank records included in the SDNY subpoena response from Citibank for his 4chan post, and ties to the same prison officer, Roberto Gervali, whose statements were released as part of the prison's investigation into Epstein's death. This is huge. We now have validation that the 4chan post from 8/10/2019 is a legitimate eyewitness account from an MCC prison officer that Epstein may not have committed or may have switched out before news broke of his alleged suicide. Let's read these real quick. The 4chan post says, "Not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night after 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing: the trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number. And the guy in the green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. What else we got here? This is the bank statement that was, I guess, in the files. And also it has, it looks like a record of the 4chan post. Here's his big statement again. Roberto Gervali. And what is this? United States Government Memorandum, Metropolitan Correctional Center. On Friday, August 19th, 2019, or August 9th, 2019, at approximately 1:50 p.m., Gervali passed on to oncoming staff member Officer Davis and President Chief Staff SOS Shakir and Officer Joyner that inmates Reyes was going WB and possibly may not return. Also, that inmate Epstein will be needing a cellmate upon arrival from his attorney visit. And I guess that's how they're connecting that name. But what do you think of this potential find here, Tupa? And yeah.
I think it's really important because it goes from being some random ass post to being kind of, oh shit, it matches. So I don't know, man. I think he really is alive.
Yeah, you were saying that, right? Even after the interview, you got the vibe that he was alive. This broke a while ago. This is literally the last slide. Just some of the footage to go along with that.
This month, the Federal Bureau of Investigation released the primary video used in the investigation of the death of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, described that video on Fox and Friends just weeks before its release.
There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this, we are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
We showed this video to multiple video forensics experts who agreed what the FBI and others have said is simply not true. That video and other evidence led to the conclusion by the government that Epstein's death on August 10th, 2019 was suicide. An analysis in consultation with video forensic experts suggests multiple inconsistencies between statements from government officials, including Bongino, a report from the Department of Justice's Office of the Inspector General into Epstein's death released in 2023, and the tape itself. These inconsistencies, while not contradicting the conclusion Epstein died by suicide, do introduce questions that the government so far has declined to answer. We'll show you those in a moment. First, let's break this all down. Epstein was held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan, in a unit separate from the general population known as the Special Housing Unit, or SHU. The unit has 3 wings, each with 2 levels. Epstein was held in the upstairs L tier of his wing. That tier is accessed by a set of stairs from the central common area. Directly adjacent to those stairs is the officers' station, where on-duty corrections officers spend most of their time. The Inspector General report says several cameras in the unit were streaming a live feed to a remote location in the prison, but no one was watching them. Malfunctioning equipment meant only one camera recorded the general area. That camera captured part of the common area, including the officer's station and a sliver of the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. The footage begins at 7:40 p.m. the night before Epstein's death. You can see staff and inmates moving about, preparing for the nightly lockdown. That's the officer's station in the background. Only 2 employees have been publicly identified. Tova Noel, a corrections officer pulling a double shift that began at 4 p.m., and Michael Thomas, a materials handler who won't arrive until midnight. Epstein is seen for the first and only time on camera at 7:49 p.m. when the Department of Justice said he was escorted to his cell from another wing of the unit. It's important to note here, you don't actually see Epstein ascend the stairwell to his cell block. Remember what Dan Bongino said.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
Let's zoom in and play that again in slow motion. Here's the sliver of stairs. Epstein is here with his escort, and they walk off screen. When the FBI released the video, they said anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the common area would have been captured by this footage. But with the primary entrance here, the pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera. For the next hour or so, corrections officers and inmates are seen moving about, preparing for all prisoners to be locked down. At 8:21, another inmate is seen being escorted toward the stairs leading to Epstein's cell area. No movement is detected on the stairs again. By 8:24, all of the inmates appear to have been taken to their cells. Noel told the Inspector General she visited Epstein's cell at about 10 p.m. You can see her head in that direction here, albeit closer to 10:30, but not climb the stairs. The rules require rounds to be made every 30 minutes, but according to the report, this was the only time anyone checked on the inmates that night. There was even a sign printed on orange paper posted on the guard station saying mandatory rounds must be conducted every 30 minutes on Epstein, as per God. This was because of concerns about his risk for suicide. At 10:38 p.m., the report says someone, probably Noel, carries a bundle of bedding or clothing up the stairs. It's a rare instance the video does catch movement on the stairs, but barely. Let's see that zoomed in and in slow motion again. Several of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period. Beyond this, there are other issues our investigation and others have uncovered. At 11:21 p.m. and 34 seconds, a cursor appears briefly on screen, indicating the video may have been recorded with a camera or a screen recording and was not an export of the raw file. The FBI said it had seized the prison's hard drive 5 days after his death and had released the full raw footage this month. 2 experts told CBS News the video's metadata, which tracks how a file is created and changed, shows it's made from 2 clips stitched together in editing software. Those experts also say the video was edited and saved multiple times.
Red flag.
Next up, the now famous missing minute. At 11:57 and 35 seconds, an individual appears on screen from the direction of the main door. It's likely this is Michael Thomas arriving for his midnight shift and replacing the other staff member on duty who'd been working from 4 to midnight. Noel was starting a second shift of 8 hours. From that point on, only Noel and Thomas were on duty during the critical window when Epstein is believed to have died. At 11:58 and 58 seconds, the video jumps to midnight, and the aspect ratio of the video changes slightly. Another indication it may
Weird, right? More editing going on.
have been edited. Zooming in and playing back in slow motion, you can see a slight shift in the shape of the figure standing or sitting around the officer's desk, but otherwise, nothing changes. Attorney General Pam Bondi attributed the missing minute to a nightly reset of the security camera system.
Oh, there's just a missing minute right then and there? Come on.
There was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
That additional video has not been released, and a government source is alleged to CBS News the FBI and other agencies are in possession of...
But you've been in video for a long time. Does that sound like bullshit to you? That just, oh, there's a minute every night at this time that just is missing? I don't know.
Of course it's bullshit.
Right?
Why would you have a surveillance system that would automatically lose a minute? Then like if the staff knows that, then the inmates can know.
Yeah.
information can always leak out. So like all the weird shit would be happening in that minute. You'd have some other coverage. You'd have another system. So like, oh, one angle shuts down for a minute, and then the next minute the other angle shuts down for the reset. So there's always coverage. But they're playing games, bro.
They're full of shit, dude.
The full unedited footage. Why the FBI did not release that is unclear, and the agency offered no comment. Importantly, the Inspector General gives no indication there was a minute missing when their team reviewed the video. We can surmise the male staffer working the 4 to 12 shift would have left during the missing minute based on the report, leaving just Noel and Thomas. But that is not seen on camera. Serious problems with the government's investigation and witness statements don't end there. The report says the unit was secured by 2 doors, one requiring a key held only by Noel and Thomas. Noel told investigators no one could enter without her physically opening that door. But here's where it gets tricky. Let's look at this one example. 4 a.m. Noel remains in full view of the camera, yet seconds later, someone walks in, and it appears neither Noel nor Thomas let her in. The report is silent on this apparent contradiction. And even if there was no other key, both Noel and Thomas had ample opportunities to let someone in. At least a half dozen times, one or the other of them exits the camera frame in the direction of the door, all without explanation. We shared this with our forensic experts who agreed there was no way to conclusively determine from the video whether an unseen visitor was or was not let into the Epstein unit, although both Noel and Thomas have said no one else entered. At 6:22, either Thomas or Noel walk off screen again and reappear carrying food trays, breakfast for the prisoners. At this point, based on the autopsy results, Epstein is believed to already be dead. According to Thomas's account, he arrived at Epstein's cell to deliver his breakfast and found him in a seated position, his buttocks an inch from the ground, held up by a torn sheet tied to the bunk bed in his room. At 6:30, someone rushes in from off camera, according to the report.
Isn't that kind of like a Phil Schneider type way too? Like, isn't it like it's almost like trying to make yourself die by like not breathing? Like your body will do it. Like if you're hanging yourself like and your butt's an inch off the ground, like aren't your legs just instinctively gonna like not let that happen? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to do. I mean, I think doing that, it would always be tough. You know what I mean?
This was Noel returning to the desk to call for help after Thomas discovered Epstein. Epstein's body was quickly removed from the cell. Only Noel and Thomas witnessed him hanging. At 6:40 a.m., the video ends. Epstein's body is not seen being removed. Both Thomas and Noel have said they played no role in Epstein's death. They were charged with falsifying documents, but those charges were dropped as part of a plea deal. Additional clarification could come from a second camera mentioned in the report. It recorded an elevator bank in the same unit, although the report stated that it did not cover areas that would have included access to Epstein's cell. It would at least show a missing minute. We reached out to the Department of Justice to see about obtaining that footage. They referred us to the FBI, who referred us back to the Department of Justice. Neither Thomas nor Noel responded to our inquiries through their legal representatives. For a case that demanded transparency, it's yet another muddled...
Weird. So what, you think he's alive, bro?
Yeah, I'm almost certain of it.
Damn. All right,
Well,
man.
I mean, think about it. Like, strategically, it makes a little bit of sense. You know what I mean? If you have this guy in custody and you know that he can roll over on all these people, and you know you got him, one thing you could do is fake his death, but already know who to be watching by that time. You get enough information from him, you fake his death, and you monitor the people who are going to start making moves now that he's dead. You know what I mean?
Let's with all that fresh in our mind, this what we just watched. Let's reread the 4chan post. Not saying anything after this. Please do not try to dox me. But last night after 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless the judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing: the trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number. And the guy in green dress, military outfit, was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. So it would have been in that 1 minute of like missing time.
Yeah.
In the super high security thing. And again, it's a prison, right? You want everything recorded at all times. It's not like it's like a Target or something, you know, or even then.
A minute is a really long time, dude. Like people can get shanked to death in a minute. Like people can,
exactly.
like,
yeah.
That's a long time.
Damn, man. All right, well, that's it. Great stream, right? What were some of the biggest for you of like the whole UFO overlap of like wow or not surprising or just yeah?
I'll say this: we haven't seen the end of it. There's
Yeah.
going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more connections that come out. Clearly, Jacob Barber, what we were picking up on a year ago, immediately, I'm proud of us for being able to be like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no, this is
Not
not good.
normalized trafficking.
Yep. The way they were talking too. So yeah, I think a lot of these new agey breakaway civilization types are, they're into this. Something's going on. But yeah, this is good coverage, man.
Thank you for being here, bro.
For sure.
We're gonna keep riding the wave, bro. All right. Bye everyone. Peace out.
Peace, man.
Peace.